Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. Ron, please take the attendance.
Rich Gussenberg, Greg Rosenblatt,
Here.
Chris Daddy,
Here.
Chuck Neff,
Here.
Dennis Ryu,
Here.
Megan Rockwell, Sarah Stevens Marling,
I'm here.
Jeff Solon,
Here.
Sean Kimball.
Okay, we have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Sarah, any public correspondence?
I have no correspondence for this
Okay.
meeting.
Yep, nothing new from the public. So, okay, next approval of the meeting minutes from October 9th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
we noticed that there was we noticed a need for a change on invoice approvals.
Okay. I guess we'll do, approve and then we get discussion.
Okay.
We'll do that. Okay.
So
motion to-
moved.
So moved, second. Any discussion?
Yeah, so under invoice approvals, basically the first paragraph under there were 10 invoices. The item that was approved for the redistricting invoice was $5,298.75, not $7,298.
Okay. Okay, any other changes? All those in favor of approving the minutes with that one change, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Meetings as amended are approved. Okay, then action items, a couple of reminders that Rich sent us. The public school visits on the two new schools, November 6th, 4:30 at Norton School, 5:30 at Barnum.
Greg, can I weigh in real quick on that?
Yep, sure.
Just for everybody, and to share with anybody with, that's gonna be coming, we do need, everybody in their proper PPE, personal protective. So it's hard hats and vests, we can supply those to anyone that doesn't have them. And then as far as shoes go, we're just looking for no open-toed sandals, no high heels.
Thank you.
And I guess it's all private cars, no bus this time?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Great. And then following those two, there's a joint meeting between the school building committee and the Board of Ed at 7 o'clock at Humiston. So, sounds like a late evening.
That's the beginning. I guess we could consider a bus if that was, if people wanted to meet at, I could kind of just take a poll, if anybody wanted to meet at Dodd at like 4:15, then we would take the bus to Norton, then to North End Farm, and then back to Dodd.
I think I'm gonna have to show up right at 4:30 at,
Yeah.
wherever.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably, yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
good enough.
Poll's over.
Okay. Okay, another reminder, due to upcoming holidays, the November meeting is posted for November 13, and December meeting, December 11. Okay, next item is consideration of irrigation of play fields per Andrew. I don't know if you want to give a little discussion on what the situation is.
Yeah, so Sean and I had been discussing it. A couple things. One, the property is so large, as we all know. And then secondly, there's a lack of play space that we have at a lot of our town facilities, and the North End is quickly growing. There's multiple subdivisions being built in the area and have recently been completed. And in the North End, we're underserved by space, and so we feel that in the next couple of years, we're gonna need that infrastructure to be there. So if there's a way to integrate it into the construction project now, it's gonna save us a lot, because long after we're all gone and the project is turned over to the town, we're gonna be managing, and people are gonna be looking for, and the last thing we wanna do is to have to rip something up after, if there is the ability to do it now. I know it's not a huge expense, now, but then it will be. So just, if it could be considered, we would appreciate that. So, and I know I'm watching, things are getting paved and sidewalks are going in, so I hope it's not too late to even be considered. But I would just like it to be looked at if possible.
So you're mentioning a need for really, really thick plush grass?
A need for, right, and, you know, if you look at aerial views of our parks, we've installed and upgraded irrigation at Bartlam Park, Town Hall notably, and all the parklets in town, so we have a lot of properties that we have irrigated, and so the ability for the town to manage, and then if there's soccer being used, or whatever the future uses are of those, if there is irrigation, it helps for the grass to establish and to be there, and as the growing season's been extended, I would just hate to see hoses being dragged around in the future. I know that I'm watching, they're hand watering the play field now to have it established, and I'm just worried that next year, when the contractors are gone, who's gonna do that? And if we do have a substantially dry summer, what's it gonna look like when school goes to open in a year?
Yeah, I mean, I will add to that, that right now, at Barnum in particular, the field that is on the Marion Road side, that does have the potential to easily add irrigation on that field because there's water supply, and there is also conduit that we can tap into for the controls. I'm not sure about the field that's, you know, a little bit further down, but, you know, I certainly would support the idea of exploring the irrigation and getting pricing. And the other thing that's important to remember is with schools, we cannot use any kind of pesticides or chemicals on our fields, but water goes a long way to help us keep the weeds down and keep the fields in good shape. So,
Are you talking Barnum only or both schools?
Barnum in particular, because there is so much space there, and the field looks beautiful now at the corner, and I just know that once it stopped being hand watered, it's not gonna look like that, and as been pointed out, we can't use chemicals, and so it's gonna be hard to maintain that, and I know that as soon as that school opens, we're gonna have user groups coming to the town looking to use those fields, and if there's not any infrastructure there to help to support their ready use, I don't know how we're gonna be able to do that.
And just so I'm understanding grass, because I'm really bad at yards. What you're saying is with an increased use, lots more people in the north end, if the grass is watered and healthy, it's gonna hold up to more people using it.
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Do you know if Quinnipiac Park and Cheshire Park, the playing fields there, if those are sprinkled?
They both are, yeah.
Quinnipiac?
Quinnipiac is also, yeah, so Quinnipiac, what we've been doing now is we've actually been resting fields because there's so much use on them. So we are actually, this spring, we're gonna be upgrading the feeds that go out there to add additional irrigation. So those fields are, as is Cheshire Park, all those baseball fields are also irrigated.
I don't see a problem with getting pricing. There's no harm in that.
I think
There's
it's.
a little bit of a breathing room there, right, on the north end. The other thing about, like Andrew's point about the development of North End, I understand the question about just Barnum. You know, at Norton, in that neighborhood, you have other parks nearby too that you could access that you wouldn't have on the north end of town. So it made sense to me.
Now, is this something, the reason I'm asking the questions I'm asking and what I'm hearing is that this is not something that is at all being driven by what our driving force is for providing a place of education for the students. It has nothing to do with that. This is simply an ancillary use for town and maybe even outside town for other organizations that want to use it, and we want to have a really nice offering for those outside organizations. Is there any, depending on what the number comes in, instead of taking it to our budget, which is limited and by the taxpayers for a specific purpose, is this something that the town would want to do and still loop it in and pay whatever the extra is? Is that a possibility? So that we're not eating into our budget, which we don't know what we don't know yet and how far we're going to have to dig into our contingencies. I don't want to run out of contingencies for a nice to have, and then we find out we have some sort of a whatever, we have an unknown, but now we've spent X amount of thousands of dollars and we don't have that anymore. That's only my concern.
It wouldn't be reimbursed.
And it's not even part of the ed specs, so it's not even what we're charged with providing here. So it's a nice to have, sure, but you know, I'm looking at that saying, I'd be interested in seeing what the money is.
Well, yeah, today's request is about getting a quote.
Yeah.
Well, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost us anything. Get a quote.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
a
as long as
month, a
if
month
you're
from
willing to at
now,
least explore it, yeah.
yeah, a month from now, we're another month into construction, and, you know,
No, I'm just
Kinda
saying
see
what
what
my
things- yeah,
concern, my thoughts are. That's
the
Our
reservation-
charge here is not to make something that has all sorts of ancillary benefits.
yeah, the
It's to provide-
reservation is fair.
But
Yeah.
I do think it is in support of the school though too,
Yeah.
because if we see the school population expanding, then there's gonna be more use of the fields just in general. So, but I think you're right, that cost is gonna be a really big part of that.
Yeah, I mean,
But to further what you're saying too is if all the grass died,
Yeah, they could still.
there's not a lot of kids that aren't gonna not go anymore.
That's true.
It's still gonna
Yeah,
serve
but
its
we
purpose.
do
I'll
go
still
out,
make my kids go.
yeah, we do go outside for PE and stuff like that, but, you know, to your point, we also go outside of Doolittle, which isn't irrigated, or Highland, or other schools as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, and these are municipal facilities, and they are being paid for by taxpayers regardless, you know, so. And not to try to oversell this, but, you know, you don't want to open the school, and then in a year from now, when everyone's coming in to go in, you have a beautiful building surrounded by a bunch of dead grass. I mean, they're going to, no matter how beautiful the school is and everything, there's only certain people that are gonna ever go inside the school. So for everybody else that's looking at it, and like, we spent $80 million and they couldn't have put irrigation in one of the fields. It's just, you know, every day I deal with these like simple little things that we don't do that then become like the flag of what we should have done, and I just don't want something as simple as that to be.
I could have sworn we talked about this early on too, and it was a no.
I mean, there was a consideration made at one point about, you know, where we, and I think at that time it was probably a smart decision. Now, you know, we're much further along in the process, we have a better picture about where we are financially, and I think it's worth exploring to see what the cost is it something we can swing?
My graveyard was asphalt.
So is mine.
That was the better part of it, was the asphalt.
And you're not a professional athlete, are you, Dennis? I rest my case. So, there you
For
go.
architects, that's right.
From a construction's perspective, where we are now, you've seen a lot of binder go down, but binder is easily patchable and not visible once you put the top course on. The top course will not go on until next spring, likely. And so, you know, we obviously, for protection of the top course, we want to put that as late as we can. You know, there is some infrastructure in place for the field near the corner of Jarvis and Marion. If you wanted it on the field that's kind of on the back side of the school, you know, towards the woods and area over there, there would need to be infrastructure put in there. Currently, you know, there would be nothing in the way to do that in the next month or two. After that, we will start to be putting in the pavers and the sidewalks that go around there, as well as pump stations and things like that. Not only that, but tying into the building, once you get full finished veneers, you want to kind of be able to core in through and then finish around it. So, I can definitely go back and reach out to Richards Corp, our site contractor, and have them, you know, provide pricing for each field separately, so that you can see what each field would cost to get that installed in the near future, and then make the decision from there.
Is it possible to get one other level of pricing of, the big concern is that we don't want to dig up driveways. So put in some pathways so that if this doesn't go through, but in 5 years they want to, it's a lot easier digging up grass or
Stub
dirt
up.
that were some stub ups that terminate into like a handhole type of thing.
Sure. Absolutely, I can get them to price that out. I believe, and I'll have to double check this, but they do have water out to the Marion, at least a water pipe out to the Marion. I don't know if it would be enough to service a full irrigation system out there at that corner lot. I will check on that. And yes, we can find out what it would cost to, you know, again, it's a minor amount of asphalt you would have to, you know, address now to get a conduit underneath that for maybe electrical, if we don't have the electrical out there. So let me follow up on that in the morning, and I will get Richards working on getting a full price for irrigation systems, but also in the meantime, getting us pricing to get, you know, conduit and piping out to each field, you know.
That's at least, I'd say that would be a secondary price, because that might be a lot
Yeah.
lower and maybe that's more palatable. The other thing too is, are we talking about, I mean, there's a lot of acreage that's other than the fields? Are we talking just the fields, or we're talking the whole place, the whole
I
place?
just care
is
about the
usable?
woods.
Okay, so we're not worried about the rest of it being crap.
If I could get anything, I want the
We
fields.
don't care about everything else looking terrible,
Yeah.
we just care
I
about.
mean, no, I mean, I wouldn't say that at all. I would say that the two fields, and then if it was up to me, I would put it along the front of the school for landscape planting, so they take, and you could actually do landscaping out there, but that's gonna add budget to Board of Education. I think the property itself lends itself to stay kind of natural and, it's in the middle of the field, but, I mean, in a perfect world, I would do the two play fields, and I would do along the front foundation of the school, so it looks presentable and it's able to be maintained, but that's certainly a different cost than just doing the two play fields.
Isn't the front field that we're talking about putting this, the field that you said there was too much water on, and we had to put the drywall in, or no?
Yes.
No, not too much water on the field per se, coming out of the hill right at that. It's that field, but it's not that the field itself is getting too much water. It would be one section where that flat field abuts the vertical or the.
Yeah, I'm saying it's
the
that
hill.
corner though, right? So
It
we're
is
getting
that
like-
corner.
We're getting like natural water coming on there that we're diverting into a drywall to put irrigation out there to make it wet again.
Sure, correct, but it's not a continuous, it's not like it's flooding all the time, and again, it would only affect a small section of that field. It would not provide coverage for the whole field, right, so.
But the rest of the field, like the way we're getting the water through that corner, right, and it's making that corner damp down at the bottom.
Mhm.
Now we're irrigating that and putting water on it, and isn't it just going to be a wet spot again?
I don't think so. I think what's been installed there and what manages that water as well as any other water in that area is well designed to take care of any, and generally what you're getting from a sprinkler system will be absorbed by the area that it's you're not gonna get a lot of excess runoff from an irrigation system. I understand your concern there, but I don't think we would end
It
up
just
creating.
feels like we're like
a
watering
puddle.
something, and you're like watering it, and it's got a hole at the bottom, and it's just draining out, you're not really getting anything out of it.
Yeah, no, I don't think that so much would be the case, again, I think you would have most of the field, is not impacted by that water area, so, any little bit of runoff that you might get, into that area would not overwhelm the system, and also, you wouldn't lose the water, so that section of grass likely would not have a negative effect because of that drainage there.
Jeff, are there any water cooler discussions about, maybe in a few years, we should get a turf field if this thing really gets used?
I have not heard that for
Because
that
if that's the case,
space.
then we're just putting good money after bad. If that's,
Yeah, I've not heard that.
I know we did that over at, was it Bartlett?
Bartlett and,
That
Bartlett
went from grass,
eventually, yeah.
from
in-
ice grass field to a
in
turf
lit,
field.
lit field is different,
I mean, that's a good question, though. Is there any other infrastructure that would be needed on the field that you, think of in the future? Because if you're putting the irrigation in there, then you gotta tear it up to put in, like, a backstop or dugout or something, anything else you need?
Light poles.
Light poles,
lighting would
anything,
be,
that's what I'm saying, like,
I don't know.
if you're gonna go into the field again to put in the irrigation, think about the whole picture.
It's a deja vu discussion. Well, if you can get us those numbers, at least that starts it. Well, the full blown and then just,
And we can ask them to, if that's something that you would like to see, is conduit size big enough so that it could be just for irrigation electrical, or have enough room to put additional electrical runs through it that could go,
well, two conduits.
or run two conduits, right? I mean, that's, it's cheap money now if that's, again, decided to do now versus trying to get it in after you have a full finished product. Even if you're not putting lighting in for 10 years, the conduit's there, it's gonna be there, and it'll, obviously give you a lot more options down the road, so.
I'm not sure you even need electrical for the irrigation out there beyond inside where the controller is. But-
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but.
But I would suggest that if you don't, I would say you run at least, throw in at least one conduit to the area so you don't have to disturb it, just in case we want to put lights or something, if we're gonna put something for future.
Mhm.
Put a pipe for water and a pipe for electrical, at bare minimum.
Okay, so you'll close for the next meeting?
Yeah, I will reach out, and I should be able to get them for them. So we can have a little discussion on anything I need to know about that, so.
Appreciate it.
Good. Next item, storage facility, initial discussion. Vince?
Jeff?
Jeff?
So what was that?
The storage facility.
Storage facilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, obviously, both buildings, I don't think, inherent in the initial design was, space made available for all the equipment that it would take to cut the grass at those fields and do everything else that, schools do. When Ben and I and a small group took a tour of, Neck River School in, Madison, we saw the storage unit they had outside and the folks moving in and out, and said we better get this on the radar to have a conversation about that for storage. And I know if Rich Gussenberg was with us, he'd be saying, amen, testify, in his penchant for storage. But
But there's also storage for all the materials that will be remaining from the construction of the school, whether it's paints or.
It's not remaining, but the attic stock that gets turned over from the contractors as part of the specifications.
and we want to be able to warehouse that on site for any repairs, but also just daily maintenance of the facilities, snow blowers, things like that, so that we're not trucking them all over town every time it snows. So we were hoping to at least the irrigation, get a good look at what would something like that cost. And then, from Justin's perspective, where would that fit in to the character of the property?
So, question I have is, we already got zoning approval, and site plan approval, so unless we're putting this on a roof, which might still require that, but would we not have to then submit for approval for any more ground use of a building?
That's a good question.
And then the other thing I have is that, where was the miss on this? Was this an oversight from the modernization committee not putting it in the ed specs, or was this something, the design? I mean, we must have known to cut the lawn and
Right.
we snow blow, but here we are with a building that doesn't have any provisions for that, or did we think we were gonna have a basement, or what happened? Was this not in?
I think when we go through ed specs, I don't recall, I don't know, Ben, if you recall anything specific to that sort of storage. It's really on the instructional side of things.
There was a lot of discussion about the need for storage, but, not an exterior building for our maintenance equipment.
Justin, we're over on square footage, right?
We're not over, well, yes, we are, but we received a waiver for, a space waiver for the additional intensive education
Right.
classrooms at Norton. So, and it's not uncommon, first of all, that there's this need. I think the way that Office of Grants looks at these type of considerations is that they assume that this type of storage is at a centralized facility within the district. So for that reason, it's usually not encumbered in educational specifications for things like equipment and, storage of attic stock, building materials. So we don't have that dedicated space within the current plans.
Now, if I remember from the redistricting discussion, the temporaries at Highland were not being used for educational purposes.
When we redistrict?
Yeah,
I don't know.
well, that's what the gentleman said.
Well, that's true. I mean, the
So-
portables, obviously the portables are not going anywhere. We installed
Right.
2 new ones. But the 2 old ones, it's not like we could store maintenance equipment. We might be able to store
Attic
items
stock.
that are stock items, yeah.
And maintenance equipment, I've always seen in the electrical
Well, we do cart, like mowers and things like that, we cart. You know, snow blowers though, you know, they're kept on site during season at each of the schools, and then, you know, to the extent there's no room in a school, we would cart it back somewhere, typically the maintenance garage, but it's not like we have excess space anywhere. So this would be a good feature at both schools, and I believe this would not be reimbursable, so just to get that, you know, on the table as well.
Would this be a portable standalone building or an extension of the school building itself?
Let's not start with portables in a brand new school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a
So you're talking
standalone, I
construct-
mean, we're not gonna add on to the building, it
Yeah,
would
but,
be something nicer than just a,
Like a Cloder Farms,
yeah,
you know, of the character of the building.
not like one of the 11 storage containers we had on the high school property at one time, so.
And we're not gonna
You
just
get
let
one
Home
on a Connex
Depot
box,
get
but
a-
I don't think we
Yeah.
need to make something that's, you know,
Yeah.
cover of a magazine, like we're doing with the rest of the school.
Well, why not?
Because it's gonna cost a hell of a lot more than an affordable small building tool shed.
The buildings are designed for expanding.
Yeah,
Put an expansion on and turn that into a classroom when we need it.
somebody else could pay for that, I'm on board, but that's not my job to pay for that right now.
Okay.
You know, and that's not what I voted for, or 28,000 other people voted for, that's my concern.
There's other ways of skinning that cat. I would rather not see a clutter type building there. Because it doesn't matter where you put it, we're gonna see it.
Can you masquerade something for us nicely, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, both locations in the loading facility, I think, offer an additional opportunity for an expansion of those, of the area that they're looking for. So we can serve, and they're both one-story, relatively modestly structured areas of the building. You know, there's a reason why we kind of make the loading areas discrete within the building, so.
How many square foot are we talking about?
I don't know.
Like the size of this conference room, or
Yeah,
triple
it's probably,
size of the gym?
this seems appropriate, something like this.
Two-car garage. Two to three car garage, I think was what the calculation was from what Rich Clovett had calculated for the equipment and attic stock space that he would
Which
need.
is
I mean, if I
basically
were
this
Rich,
room.
I'd ask for a 3-car garage too, but it sounds like
Yeah.
we don't really need this.
Yeah.
You're talking about storing stuff in an extra building that you have at Highland that's gonna be empty, and then you have a snow blower there for a couple months out of the year. Like, we just need a spot to park a snow blower, it sounds like.
Well, we didn't say that, Chuck, I mean,
What
you
else
know,
do you need there? What do we actually need this for?
Well, we just said attic stock is one.
Done, Highland, what else do we?
Well, yeah, okay, you could say that, Chuck, but, you know,
Why-
that becomes
I'm-
less convenient, and so the request is, you know, and I understand the committee doesn't have to vote for it, but we're just making a case that it would seem to make sense to have a storage building on site. Just makes everything a lot easier for us to manage, not only at the school, but on the maintenance side. That's the request.
So now, if we are attached to the building and we expand the building versus putting in a very nice looking, appropriate, matching, separated building that's just a shed, we need to pay for sprinkler, we need to pay for fire alarm, we've gotta have the proper egress and the matching doors and all that, and
You need to do that anyway.
not if you put a tool shed out back, you're not gonna sprinkler a
True.
separate shed, you're not gonna have a fire alarm in the shed. And you don't need special panic bars and all that to get out
That'd
of
be the
a
next request.
tool shed.
Power and everything.
You're right. Then I'll have this discussion again. So I'm just, you know, I don't know, I mean, I'm one guy.
As a school administrator who has several buildings, I've gotta advocate for the school district here, like, spending time moving stuff around is the bane of my existence, seriously. And it wastes so much time, it wastes so much energy, and like, honestly, human capital is what is always the most expensive thing, and so to have people wasting time driving back and forth, that seems crazy to me. Like, if we can afford it, like, I think we have to budget it. If we don't have the money, we don't have the money. But if we do have the money, like, long-term, this is like a no-brainer to me, personally, as an administrator.
No, but to your point, you're saying if we have the money, we don't. We have money reserved to do what we are, you know, tasked with building. And we have some reserve to help us for the unforeseen and the things we don't know. And we
Sure.
can't say, oh, we've done good this so far here that we're not gonna hit ledge where we want, we're not gonna
But
hit
if
some
it's-
environmental
But if it's a
thing.
1% cost to the project, like,
That's huge. That's $1 million.
It's less than that.
Yeah, it's not gonna be close to 1%.
right, like, so a 1/4%, a 0.5% to cost the town of Cheshire in money, in time, in just like making our school administrators crazy? Like, that just seems,
But those are the
I don't see it
discussions,
making
those are the
that big.
discussions you have when you're at the end of the project and you say, hey, we're about done, and we've got $1 million left over, what do we wanna do? That's the discussion you
that's
have.
fair.
That's when you say you have it left, but right now, that's our spare tire. And you're
Yeah.
saying, let's go on a trip, we don't need a spare tire, well, you don't know that you're not
Sure.
gonna need it. That's the, and that's why it's mandated that you have the contingencies,
Yeah.
because it happens, you use it,
Yeah.
you always have it.
It's just, as,
Little things like the
again,
change that we came up
Right.
with for the
And more
cool down room.
essential for the room.
Little things like that we're gonna come up with and say, geez, we really should, we need this. That's a need-based, this is a lesser versus a student
I
served
just,
need.
I,
This isn't a need, it's a want.
I don't think it is though.
It is. You
Well-
don't want to have to go somewhere to get this stuff. I mean, we can argue about needs and wants. The reason we're talking about it is because we have the contingency in there. And, oh, I'd like to add this to it, I'd like to add this to it. We're just gonna keep adding stuff till we're out of contingency, then we're gonna be at the end. What did we do? Oh, we got a great space to store all these attic items that we needed.
But
It's
the-
gonna be a waste of space at the end.
The point is well made about timing too,
Mm-hmm.
and that, irrigation, timing sensitive is more immediate, obviously. Storage sheds, not at all imminent. Whether that happens today or on the day before the project opens, I mean, that's kind of irrelevant, so, if the flavor is to, table this and look at this at the end of the day, I mean, that's fine too. We just put it out there as something that, when we, I don't wanna make it sound like, we go to Madison and, oh, geez, they have that, let's get that. But, it did, say, we're always conscious of storage, there's always demand for storage. And particularly at Norton with the remote location, Barton with the remote location, on-site storage is preferred. But, again, it's not an imminent need, it's not time sensitive at all, so, as long as it's out on the table and we take another look at it down the road, then we take another look at it, or.
Table it for like 6 months or so, see where we are.
I say you put it on the wish list for the end of the project, if we have surplus contingency, go down the wish list, what do we want, what do we need?
I think that's
What are the things?
How much more is it gonna cost that?
So the questions I have is I don't think for the building itself, I don't think you're looking at a price difference between now and then. My question would be is, to what extent do you want to have power and heat in that building?
I think heat's a silly idea, I can't see why you would heat in a storage building.
Light, but.
Yeah,
Well,
a
the
couple
sign
circuits
has
for
that.
lighting and a few receptacles, that's peanuts.
The reason I ask that is because it's similar to what you're talking about, putting in some conduits or underground infrastructure now before you have playgrounds and sidewalks and finished grass and everything. Would it make sense to put that in, whether you do that during this project or 5 years from now when the district decides that it does need it and
Yeah,
do
but
it,
we
so.
still don't know where this building is.
We don't know where it would go,
No, correct.
or if it would even be permitted.
Correct. But we'd have to know all that before you put it in, but that's where your costs are going to change, possibly significantly from.
And if it's a remote building, it's probably gonna be close, I would imagine it would be close to the school, in which case it's a very short run to bring a 50-amp circuit out there for a little load center and a couple of lights and some receptacles to do a repair.
Sure.
I wouldn't think that's much. And I'm all about putting in spare stuff, but we don't know where it is, and even if we did have a spot for it, like I said, I don't think we could just plop something else. I don't think we could take up more square footage without going through the process.
I'll call the planner, just to, see what the process is, what the recommendations would be. The concern from a P and Z commission perspective is whether or not you're increasing the amount of impervious surface or the lot coverage, the impervious coverage at the site. Whether or not 500 square foot 400 square foot facility is enough to move the needle in terms of stormwater is something that I think we can do a quick analysis of. And I've committed to, full transparency with things coming up or coming down the pike with the town and Planning and Zoning Commission, so I can certainly do a little legwork there just to understand what the regulatory process is.
Thanks.
Okay.
If it's being used for attic stock, wouldn't climate control be a concern?
Probably, if there's paint in there.
Yeah, it was from Rich Corbett. He had requested heat if we're storing attic stock in there.
I would say I would need to have a really good case presented for me to be on board with heat in a storage shed. That's just me. If it's
And that's fair.
attached to the
Right,
building,
that's
it's a
fair,
no-brainer.
yeah.
If it's an extension of the building, it's a no-brainer. It's gonna have all climate controls, because it's got sprinkler, it's got fire alarm, it's part of the building, so then it's a non-issue. But if you're putting a tool shed out back, don't put the paint in it. I don't know, but.
So don't put the
maybe I'm
paint in
missing
it that we're making it for, is what we would do.
Right, like,
Well, attic stuff, you're gonna have
What's the point
10%,
of even, like,
you're gonna have a whole
building
lot of light fixture, I mean, it's the paint cans, I don't think are the attic stock.
Yeah, your bulk is gonna be ceiling tiles, it's gonna be.
Like that, light fixtures, doorknobs, whatever it is.
Yeah,
nothing else.
flooring, boxes of flooring, things of that.
Flooring.
Levers.
Yeah, right, sorry.
Okay, so I guess the feel is we'll table discussion on the storage shed till we're almost done with the project and then see what's left financially.
Yeah, and in the meantime, he's gonna find out what hoops we would have to go
To jump
if
through,
we did
yeah.
wanna do that, because if there is a long lead time, then we would wanna reverse engineer back to see when we really need to start talking about it, so we don't miss the boat if in case we do want to get it.
And we're thinking more storage shed than build add-on or leaving that open at this time? Okay, leave it
I
open.
mean, I can't
Yeah.
speak for the committee, I can only speak for my thoughts.
And
Just
our
one
request
thing.
is for, storage facilities separate from the building, not adding on to the building. We know that would be
Yeah.
expensive at this point in time.
I mean, we just reconfigured the space inside the building, a space that already had climate control and fire alarm, all these others, and that was $150,000 or something, and that was just a reconfiguration, that didn't involve your structural engineers, foundations, footings, new steel,
Yep.
all of that. It cost $500,000 to build something on, realistically, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay,
Make
good.
it 30 though.
well,
Then we have two status requests. One is the school emblem. We're supposed to be getting a design of the emblem. Chris, you help me out on this?
Yeah, that was something that I have brought up a few times,
Yeah.
to have a, like a spot where your kid graduates and you're outside to take pictures and whatnot. That
A
was on our-
monument, sort of monument with the school emblem on it. Or,
Yeah, something, so you're not backed up to bricks like like you are now, like my kids were at Highland, for
Right.
instance, there was nothing there. I know that was on our open items list, and, we had asked about it another time as well. I don't know, I just haven't seen where that is, I'm assuming that's in the plan, but I don't know where. I would have thought we would have seen it, but I've missed a few meetings as well.
no, I haven't seen it yet.
So, okay, I'm gonna need to follow back up because we don't have a space per se on the exterior that says Barnum Elementary, that is at eye level that somebody can stand in front of. We do have a number of spaces on the interior of the building that fits that purpose. So, let me follow up.
If you could double check, because I know I was
but is,
looking at that, because, you're in the auditorium, then everybody gets out those doors and no one's allowed in to go wherever, so you're
but
going
is that
for
just
it.
like changing, are you asking to change the position of the signage that was spec'd, or to do a different thing entirely?
I'm saying, what is it?
What
Where's
is
the
it?
spot,
Okay.
where's the spot that you
Where's
can
the
go with
photo
your
spot?
kid to stand there where it says
Got it.
Barnum School, whether it's a big giant coin emblem thing, or just a sign, or just a word with a bird next to it, or, I don't know.
Do we have a mascot yet?
No.
Do we?
No, that's something that kids will work with once we have the population of the building. Barn owl.
Yeah.
General.
Okay, and the other action item on here was the actions taken since the last meeting to ensure field report recommendations are handled in a timely manner. We don't know about that.
I can start off on that, so, so we've been working with Tecton, their team, as well as Arcadis and my teams. We are setting up weekly meetings that we're gonna have to discuss these, separate from our OAC meetings that we have bi-weekly. We have provided responses to both Tecton and Colaronin. Those responses did not make it into the most recent report, or what's in your reports today. Those were sent out October 6th. The last report that we received from Colaronin prior to this morning was the October 3rd report, so they did not make it into that October 3rd report, but they do have responses to at least an update on where we stand with them. Some of them are foreclosure, some of them are saying, you know, basically, we are working on this. We are tracking every single one of those issues in our field issues log, and closing those out as we can, working with them. Tecton's report, you'll see, does reflect responses that they had received from us for some items that we were able to close some items. We're still working on others. So going forward, we will continue to have a weekly meeting as necessary to address them. If there's nothing to address, we won't have the meeting, but it'll likely be a weekly virtual meeting that we will have to review any open items that we feel are ready to be inspected and closed, as well as updates on where we stand on any items that are not complete.
Are we run into any of the, hey, this was back in May and things have been closed up and now it's an extra charge to go and fix the thing that was documented that
No.
we didn't get to?
Nope. Nope, and our intention is not to have that happen at all.
No, and our team has a policy, and I think I've said this at past meetings, if you see something, say something when you're out in the field. So a lot of our walkthroughs are with site supers, before or after project meeting. So a lot of times there are questions that come up that, hey, this subcontractor has a question over here, or, you know, we just submitted this RFI this morning, can you go out and take a walk? So commonly, if we're out in the field unescorted and we see something that is of significance, we usually go right into the field office after and say, hey, this is gonna be on the field report. Or maybe we have a question to help clarify something that we're looking at. So where I think we can do a better job is making sure that when our entire consultant team is doing that and then flag something, that they flag it to us directly or flag it in the site trailer as well. And that direction has been made to the entire team.
Okay, moving on, energy conservation plan, Vince, Aaron?
Yes, thank you. I'll just speak a little bit about this, and then I'll turn it over to Aaron. Aaron, you're good, you hear us, right?
I'm good, yep.
Okay. So I did provide just a handout, and Aaron will take us through these slides, as well as some additional photos and drone footage that Aaron's going to show tonight. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of things. One, we're here tonight to refine the solar at Farnham and Norton a little bit further. We're looking for consensus. We're not looking for any, final approval, but this is just an extension of the request from last time. We have a couple of good ideas to present. For those of you that are coming on the site visit on November 6th, it might be helpful, and if most of the committee is going, Aaron and his team can be there. It might be helpful to point out where some of the solar arrays might go. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that we continue to make progress on the financing for this project. We did apply for the school construction grants. We have a lot of work to do on the school construction grant side, so I will keep the school building committee up to date on how that process is going and what we would need for the committee. It's school construction grants are never simple. They're the hardest of the three incentives that we're looking for on this project. The other two being the NRES program savings you know, as well as the tax credits that we're eligible for currently from the Investment Inflation Reduction Act. So with that, Aaron, I'll turn it to you. You are on screen. If you want to make a presentation or speak, we can see you and we can hear you.
Yeah, no, great, thanks, and appreciate everyone's time. And I think just capitalizing on what Vin said, I think, you know, tonight, get a little bit more direction from you folks, and then while we go to visit Barnum and Norton, when you're doing your site, we will spend just a little bit of time actually looking at these areas so that you can, you know, formulate more questions, and we can get some final direction. We'll try to, you know, give you what the sizing impacts will be. So with that, you have a presentation. I have some additional stuff that I, you know, couldn't send through online, and so I'll bring this up and share my screen. Hopefully, it works. We got the screen there, right?
Yes.
It looks like a nice place, but yes, we can see the screen.
All right. So a lot of this, you know, you had seen before, but we're just going to kind of go through it. These are the areas facing Marion and Jarvis that the solar arrays were going to be moved onto any of the pitched roofs, and so, you know, there's quite a bit of reduction in terms of the overall production that is, you know, funding other work, as we've mentioned before, throughout the district. And so some areas that we have talked about during the last meeting are the behind the school in the left-hand corner, when you're driving into the front of the school. And then also we had talked about potentially some canopy carports up at the base of the hill because of the 20-foot slope coming in. It wouldn't be as obtrusive as putting it over in the kindergarten parking lot that was originally proposed. And so what you're seeing here is a depiction of roughly a recovery of the 285 ground mount system in the back and a 431 kW carport. And of note, I will say, there is some wetlands in the back, but we do believe that we can shift more of a carport over to that back rear ground mount system. And I think, you know, again, it'll be some direction, and it'll be identifying exactly where the wetlands are so that we're not impeding the wetlands, and we can maybe capture some more to reduce the size of the carport. There's a third location, you know, that we have talked about, which is coming off of the Jarvis Street. So, you know, from a perspective, these are trying to give everybody sort of, when you're on site, sort of what you're looking at. This is the back of the building where that ground mount system is going to be. The field you're looking at there, and now you're at the back corner. It's fairly expansive, fairly flat, and it's lower than the grade that will be for the walk around and for the playground. And so this is probably the, you know, the spot that would be the most ideal if you didn't want to see it.
Yeah, we did walk that site, you know, quite extensively. I mean, in my opinion, that is a really good spot for solar. I don't see that the students would typically be back there anyway, so, you know, I think that's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think so too. So this is a 6-foot drone footage of that area from the opposite angle. And you can see it's pretty expansive. It's sloping downhill. And there's quite a bit of area. I know there's some retention ponds over there. There's more things to discuss to finalize it. But that sort of give you a sense. And obviously when we're out there walking, I think you'll get quite a good feel for the space.
What's the dirt rectangle? So as in the video.
Okay.
Turtle box?
Now,
Is that what it is?
That's the turtle breeding area.
So we're
Yes.
gonna have to move that?
Ideally,
So-
we'd have to understand exactly what the layout is that we're talking about. Because I believe that sand bed is pretty significant and deep.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but it's.
Which way do the panels face?
Towards Jarvis?
South?
Correct.
Aaron, the question is, which way the
Those,
panels are
those
gonna
panels,
face?
yeah. Yeah, those panels will face Jarvis, so they'll face the back of the building, and they'll face over to Jarvis. So the other area, which, you know, is the third area, is the sloping area that is on Jarvis. There's a little bit of, you know, concern for sure there. Jarvis comes uphill to the entrance, and then the ground slopes down towards that tree line. So I just wanted to give you just a little bit of flavor of what, you know, that looks like at a 6-foot level, coming in to the driveway entrance. So it's significantly lower, you know, than that area. And so it would probably be ideal, should we need some, is maybe a couple down, you know, towards the bottom by the tree line, and not imposing on the, sort of looks like a broken finger, where the water, the wetlands come up.
So just, I mean, Jarvis would be to the right of where that scene was, just, you know, for everyone's orientation.
Yeah, so this is Jarvis Street here. This is that entrance that I just showed you. It does slope down pretty good here. And so if there was, you know, a decision to put some down here, certainly there could be some screening up at the top, that we certainly could do. This is actually, you know, just to fly over a little bit of the area. It is a bird's eye, and you can see that, you know, probably some concern, obviously neighbors here, et cetera. But it would be down here. That could possibly, and that would be, you know, to take some away from the carport there in the front as an option as well. So this is just a bird's eye, so this was the area, you guys can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the area we were just looking at. This is that larger area, you know, they can pick up most of it. And then down here, the only perspective you're not getting here is, this is about a 20-foot drop. And so that the carport would be along here, outside of where the wells are. And so that would be on, sort of on the hillside there.
Those would all be slanted towards Jarvis.
So these would be facing towards Jarvis, and I do have a picture.
Yeah, I got that.
Of
I'm talking
what that
about the
would-
ones up front.
The carport?
Carport.
The carports will be flat,
It'd just be totally flat.
totally flat, yep. It'd be a slight pitch, I'm sorry, I mean, you know, for runoff, but
Pitch towards Marion.
slightly pitched towards Marion, taking the water to the backside.
Now we're gonna
You know,
have to go
the
to
exposure that we're
planning
looking
and
for
zoning,
ideally is
right?
this way.
It's for all of it.
Yeah.
For all of it,
You can vote on that.
Yeah. Have the same vote there.
Then all I gotta say is your timing is off. If you did this first, and then your tool shed, you'd have up a 9-car garage. Approved.
I'll try and do better, trust me.
Just saying.
No, I
So,
think,
All right, I guess, did you have more to say, because there's some reaction in the room that I want you to hear.
yeah, no, I mean, I'd be moving on to Norton at this point. So if you wanna stick with Barton?
Yeah, why don't we just pause and, you know, get the committee's, you know, thoughts on the 3 location, preferences, dislikes, likes.
I think Rich had a concern on the carport, because you would see it from Marion. Basically, not blocking the school, but
Yeah, I think that was the original
Oh, from that
proposal that
person.
was like up here,
no, it was always here.
so you,
I thought it was over here by the,
Yeah,
was
originally
that
they
one.
had
Yeah.
it here. and then
Originally it was
got
over the
moved
lot
here.
area, now it's, this proposal is pushing it back toward, onto that hill.
yeah, I thought we were all about the hill last time. We liked the hill.
Is there
especially if you slope it towards the back of the parking
There's parking
spots.
Right, so you're not looking at the underside,
There's
so.
a row all the way
Right,
across
but
the
it'll
back.
be more visible
This is a roll.
From where?
Gotcha.
from Marion.
How tall is the structure?
Because Marion is up here. and
Aaron, how tall is the
Hillside
structure?
Hard, and it would be here is where they're
It's
talking.
gonna be about
But
10
it's gonna
feet.
be higher up.
But not to the, not to the top of the hill.
No, but then it's sloping towards the hill.
Oh, I see what you're saying,
So you will
yes.
see more of the panel.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's a question that,
Right.
you know, people have. I appreciate that question of visibility from Marion. You know, how visible is it gonna be?
You know, I think it's gonna be visible, I mean.
Yeah, to what degree, I mean,
Yeah, my question on the visibility is less about, oh, there it is, it's more like from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, I can't look anywhere near it because it's a gigantic mirror to shoot in my way. That's the concern I have, whether it's down in that corner, shooting at the school, or over there shooting towards the neighbors. I don't know that the carport, I don't know how much they would do, I know there's houses across the way, but I think where it's situated, the
Be hard to-
terrain might prevent it, maybe somebody driving by might be able to look down at the right minute and see it. I think that one's less of a.
what sort of reflection do those throw? I'm not really
It's a mirror.
familiar with
It's
it.
like it's like a black car.
Yeah.
It's just it's a slick black surface, so if you're in the right spot,
Shiny.
you're gonna see the sun. I mean, am I wrong
Yeah.
there?
No, so the ones that would be over by the residence on Jarvis Street would be facing the school. So they'll be slanted, high side will be to Jarvis, low side would be to the school.
You'd be sloping north.
You're sloping
Yeah,
north?
that makes sense.
They would be capturing,
So this is upside down, this is showing south is up. Right now, your plan north is true south.
right,
Does that make any sense?
Bouncing down the road.
The first image shows true north. 'Cause it's.
Correct.
I lived in a house that had a solar panel. Every time I walked out, I just looked like that, I wouldn't like that.
Even, you'd see it on the second floor.
yeah, from the second floor, you might have visual, I mean, it's just how low
They have a second floor.
or how many rows. You know, I don't think we'll probably be proposing more than 2.
In the package, it had the current roof layout was 456 and change, and then we removed 232, so we were left with 224. But you started with 456 total, but now on the end on this, we end up with 941 total. Is that just because we added everything, or why is it more than what we had?
Because the production values that were done in the beginning were, I believe, provided by Kohler Rowan. And so that was the total capacity that we were designing to. And then the actuals came in a little bit less, so we're trying to capture as much production that was cast to get,
The carport.
to fund
Original
additional
carport,
work.
God.
Was it the original carport as well, Aaron, contributed to get to that 900 number?
The original carport, yes.
So the 456 isn't where we were.
that's exclusively roof then, the 456, I guess?
No, it's
No, that's
224.
220.
That was the
I'm
original.
just saying, like, when you came in
Exclusive
last
roof,
time,
and
the
then now it's
456 was
224,
just
yeah.
what we had on the roof.
Yeah, that's
but
the
we
new
were counting
net.
on adding a carport, and that's
I
why.
think that's what it was, yeah.
That's correct. The carport and the original analysis that was done previous to our involvement was what was carried through contract, through submission into NRES. And so it's a production value that we're trying to match and meet because it also gives us, it maximizes the amount of funding to go to the other buildings on all that deferred maintenance and the work that's going to be presented here next month. And so while we're still trying to get there, that's what we started with, the basis of, I believe, Kohler and whoever did. And so that when we added the roof in, we added the carport to get to that production level.
Aaron, is there a difference between the KW, DC, and AC? Is there some loss or anything, or is it just straight KW?
So Programmatically, it's AC, production is DC, and there are differences in terms of those, and that's just the mathematical equation when you take the DC back to AC.
So it's a little bit less, there's a loss.
Yes. Not a loss in power, it's just a loss in the calculation. So the same amount of AC power is gonna give you more DC power, so.
How tall are these on the carport?
I believe 10 on the high side. Oh, carport, I'm sorry. They can be any size that is required. It depends on the snow removal equipment, depends on busing lanes, et cetera.
Vin, can you help me understand what goes on with say we were going to just keep them on the areas that aren't in red here, and you just had that 200 and whatever it was, 24, and you did this area in the back where you can't really see it. What's that do for like your grand plan of like
Net
how's that tie into the
dollars
whole
and
thing? Yeah.
implications
Like,
for
what's the
other.
implication of just doing those? Do we not?
So, yeah, I'm just looking, Aaron, the question is, if we just did the ground mount in the back and the flat roof areas, or the areas that the committee doesn't want to see solar arrays on those sloped roofs, it's 285 plus 224, so I'm just asking you to confirm.
No, that's correct, but so looking at these three areas, if the committee's preferred areas in the back, I would say we will try to maximize that. I know we can get more than what's being presented in front of you. And so that's what we'll take as direction, if that's the preferred area, see where it is. Directionally, when you remove the carports, we lost roughly $427,000 worth of spend for other project components. And so there was a number that was north, about $100,000 more, but that's part of the difference in programmatically from doing a carport to a ground mount as well. And so the carports, while they cost more, it's not linear, but they pay more.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally there's a reluctance to do the carport over there on Marion as well, but, you know, committee, if you just want to weigh in on that.
I don't mind the carport, but I like the panels in the back better. Like, making this carport smaller would be okay, but I don't think it's gonna be that distracting for Marion.
Well, we're all gonna be there on the 6th.
That's a good point.
Can you guys, maybe go and see, go to Home Depot, get some 2x4s?
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
build
say,
some
the
carport?
We can build anything you want, it's
Well, I
just
mean,
cost.
build it like
Just a mock-up of the
2
section.
cars wide.
Yeah, just a little framework.
So that we can visualize what it's gonna look like.
So you're looking for like a 10-foot structure similar to what this would be with
Right,
like a tarp across the top of it or something?
yeah. Blue car.
Mirrors, put mirrors on top.
Make that a polished stainless.
I'm sure we can, I'll talk with my team tomorrow and
Might
see
wanna
what we can
do
get done.
North first then, or Barnum first, cause 5:30 it's gonna be kinda dark.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we can all drive around beforehand.
Okay.
So I will take the direction to try to maximize that space in the back, which is at least, visible, if you will. And we'll see what the other two spaces look like when we go out there in November.
Okay. Is there any way to throw a piece of plywood in the back that's angled up where it could be angled so we can get?
Well, ideally, yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to see all these spots, to at least see a piece of plywood or something angled to where it is. And I hate to be throwing money out there for that and distracting from the real business here, but we're all having questions about visibility and reflections and what it's really gonna look like. And I think it's a great idea to do some kind of a mock-up, but if we're doing something here, why not throw another couple of pieces out at an angle and a height, just one sheet of plywood each, or whatever, that's 8x4.
Aaron, do you have any mock-ups or, maybe some array that you could just plop down there for
Yeah,
visual?
let me see let me see what I can do. I mean, I
Yeah.
certainly think there's some value in that for sure.
Okay.
I mean, all the questions are, nobody is against, in principle, having solar. Everybody's concerned about the visual appeal or the detrimental visual world.
Yeah.
Understood.
Before you switch slides, I just want to take a moment to go backward. First of all, the fall, foliage was beautiful, but just take a look at the two irrigated fields. See the difference
Taking-
that a little water makes?
taking
See what
I did there? See what I did
Where the
there?
storage shed can go.
That was next, but thank you for taking us there.
Yeah, the rest of the site isn't seeded though.
It actually is.
And what you're seeing is
It is.
the grass netting we put over the top for, because it's all on hills. But
I walked the fields, but I walked the back, which has also been hydroseeded, and there's a lot of weeds in the hydroseeded area already, but the irrigated spot is doing way better.
Well, you
Not
can
that I'm
put-
trying to oversell this.
I
do
agree.
own it.
You can put the storage shed in that little brown rectangle at the bottom left.
No, that's for the turtles. Isn't it the
and
turtle?
solar, yeah.
I think that's his point.
How come we're not
Sorry.
trying to irrigate and make grass
The
grow?
new
everywhere?
culinary-
I was worried about the turtles.
That would be my question.
Well, it's the grass.
We don't have an irrigation system, so why aren't we making it all grow?
All right, now we can move to Norton.
Right, thank you. So these are the areas, that you requested to be removed, with the exception you did ask for these two lower flat areas to be. And so in some discussions, it's been understood that the area that looks out of these are educational spaces that are not, like desk, sit-down type areas. And so there's been a lot of discussion that looking at a black flat roof is probably worse than adding some curriculum enhancement to STEM, and we'll have our national educational director work with the schools to maybe put, number one, some kiosk in that space that sort of tells everybody what the solar's doing, what it's producing, how it's performing, as well as maybe some placards as well, describing what you're actually visually looking at out there.
That is brilliant. I was so excited when I heard that, so that it, and if there was any way to integrate something similar at Barnum too, even if it's outside, we want kids to be able to see what's happening there.
Wouldn't there be a dashboard, a screen with a dashboard right when
Yeah.
you walk into school? I mean,
Yeah,
I've
but-
seen that at a number of places.
Yeah, but here's what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
We anticipate putting that at all the schools where we're deploying the renewables, and we can talk about adding the kiosk, just picking up the data and the information to the other schools that don't have it. But certainly, it's something that we typically do in the project, and we love the opportunity to do that, as well as, maybe even schedule some things with the kids, with some of our SME subject matter experts to come out and explain it and do that. But we do build a curriculum, national curriculum with the Department of Education on all types of renewables, all types of HVAC and controls. And we actually do a lot of the work at the technical colleges throughout the country.
So just to, situate ourselves, this is the second floor, and there are windows here, and there's collaborative space built here. What is that?
That's the gym you're pointing at. The white roof that's angled is gonna be that study area, that it's a collaborative space.
Okay,
at
so
the
the
end of
windows
main
look
hall.
this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're looking out onto a flat tarred roof right now,
Yes.
goes up there. So the idea is if we do put solar panels in that collab space, we would also be adding this educational kiosk and make it, more of a learning spot up on that second floor. But there are also windows
Yes.
facing out this way,
Yeah,
right?
like
That's just
from the
not
gym.
They're
collab
just grabbing
space over
sunlight
there.
into the
Those are
gym.
gym, those are
Okay,
high up.
those are high up, okay. Thank you.
We talked about that group.
Yes.
Yeah, what we're talking about is taking the arrays off there.
So that's.
We're asking to not take those arrays off, is the request now.
Sorry, I missed that.
One of the one of the points I want to make, because you'll see it in the pictures and stuff, is this box on that main spine, the request was to take a third of it away. While we look at some of the videos and pictures, I would try to make a recommendation to redefine that, because where this angle comes in here, any of these solar panels.
So,
will
Aaron, we're
be
not
visible.
seeing your cursor. I don't know,
Oh.
do we have control?
I was on the other screen.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, now we
Where
see
this-
it.
Yeah, where this point comes in here, I would recommend that we try to keep these panels, because you'll never see beyond this point on the roof. And then there is a point here, unless you're 20 feet in the air, you know, at this point moving back, and you guys will be able to determine that, number one, when we're on site, but number two, I think you'll see it in the picture that I have. And so I would say that what we believe you guys made a motion on was to take it off of this educational front here and a third of the spine. And I would say we might want to try to pull some of that back in to the project.
Makes sense.
And so the other element that we're looking for is a carport. Now, we had talked about the carport where the busing lane is over here, but it certainly could be moved into the parking lot. I don't have an overlay of the parking lot here. I have a picture, but I don't have this overlaid on the parking lot, but you'll see in the next what we're talking about. And that's to get back to that original design criteria and production values.
So,
And so what we had proposed before was over here. And, you know, it might not be, because the buses go in, they come in this way, they loop around, and they come back out. And while this doesn't look like a big space, it's obviously big enough for cars to park there. And these, you know, the red line typically doesn't go much beyond the parking spaces. You know, and the height can be adjusted for that. But we could move it into the middle space as well.
but if that's a main aisle, you're gonna need access for fire trucks. And you're also killing 6 trees, which are a very nice boulevard.
So this, you're talking about in the middle here? There's no trees, that's the building, right?
Right there, there's trees in the proposed site plan.
Oh, on the site plan, you're adding trees.
Yeah, take a look at Justin's package, slide number 7.
Oh, yeah, trees.
I mean, that's a very nice approach to the building, regardless of which way you come in.
So I'm gonna keep going unless there's questions on this, on holding this shot right here.
Page 4, slide 7. Page 4, slide 7.
Oh, thanks.
We're just looking at the layout of Norton in the room.
The slide that I have up?
Now, there's a handout that we have from
Yes,
Justin.
gotcha. Okay.
So the point is that there are trees that are, you know, planted in that third row of parking there. That's what Dennis's comment was.
So where the red triangle is, that's where trees are?
Yeah, and there's trees actually in all three of those.
All three, okay.
Of those areas.
And I desperately wanna try and capture as much solar as we can to support other stuff, but I'm not sure how that's gonna look, having that there.
And then with like 2 lines of trees and 1 naked line with a thing over it, I think would be, I don't think it would look good.
Icky looking.
I think it would look unbalanced.
To support what other,
The savings here allows us to, not this group, but do things like provide HVAC controls at Doolittle and other energy performance work.
Did we look at ground mounts for Norton? It looks like there's room in the back.
I wasn't aware that there's that much room, but I certainly could look at that. We're talking about up in the corner up here.
No, that's wetlands, to the right of that.
In here?
No.
No,
No,
top.
just there.
By,
Right there.
by Sharon,
Yeah,
by the Sharon entrance?
Yes.
Okay. I'll look at that GIS and look at some of that as well.
Kind of like a site trail, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
So, this is obviously bird's eye coming in to the site, and I think you're talking about over here for potential ground mount where the trailer is.
Exactly.
And you could see this point here, where we would hide everything that's beyond it, and then the other side, we may not have to take it a third back. But this is all gonna be that parking lot where the building is. You're obviously planting trees, so that's gonna be one of your considerations. We were trying to move it, over to where that bus lane was to be least obtrusive of coming in the main entrance. This is contiguous, which I think we're gonna pick up a little bit. It wasn't shown that way on the print, and we had left panels out in that one area. This is the educational area here, that we're proposing to keep so that we can maximize it. This is that point I'm talking about here. You'll see that it blocks visual when we come down and we're standing in front or we're driving in. So from this point here, we're still about 12 feet. You can see the top of the equipment here. Anything beyond this point, you're not gonna see. This is, gonna be, come down a few more feet. You won't even see that. These will be, sloped slightly for the, the educational purposes. So I think perhaps we'll get a few back in our calculations and, finalize what the need would be for ground mount.
Okay. Seems
And so,
consensus, we're all right with that?
On that flat roof area, you say slope slightly, what's slightly?
it would be a minimal pitch, and so the high end maybe 12 to 14 inches off.
Got it, and it's sloped towards the front of the building, so you're gonna see it,
Yeah.
like walking up to the building, you're gonna see it angling up and away from you.
Yes, up and away.
So your area that you're talking about, it being educational, looking out on it, you're really just looking at the side of all of them, right?
Well, no, you're elevated. That space is slightly elevated, and so you're another 4 feet, depending on how tall you are as a kid, to 5 feet. So you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to stand in front. The glass here, you'll be able to see all of these back here. You may not get a great visual in the front, but.
Is that your question, Jeff?
Oh, I
Yeah, I mean,
apologize, that was on the.
The idea of not having them there, my thought was you're still seeing them when you're walking right into the building, it's hitting you right in the face, it's right there, that's what I didn't like about them, but. So I mean, I still don't like them in that spot myself.
What's the lip on the front of the building?
It's like a 6-foot overhang, so that 12 inches off the roof is gonna be pretty hard to see from down on the ground.
You have a 6-inch, like wall, like parapet
Six-
wall?
No, the
6
overhang
foot?
is 6 foot,
Oh,
roughly. You've got,
There's a setback too as well. We're not gonna be right up to the edge.
That might be a good opportunity to put a mock-up for the walkthrough.
Yeah, because the roof's already up there.
Sorry.
After you build them, at least you could find a storage place to keep them.
We've got a lot of attic stock.
I'm a hard no on the carport,
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
All right, there's,
That one's a tough pill to swallow.
yeah, the carport, it's out. There's no appetite, Aaron.
The carport is cool. You like the carport?
I do.
I mean, I think there's a utilitarian value to the carport, but it just doesn't look all that great.
They make them all different ways. You can do them out of heavy timber.
Yeah, we had discussed that,
Yeah, we saw.
so
some.
that it's out there. There is potentially opportunity to make it more rustic with heavy timber. But if, you know, I mean, if it's just visual because it's, I mean, you can't architecturally do anything with the panels, right? You
Yeah.
can box it in.
I'd rather have real timber, like the ones that grow.
Yeah.
Oh, you build it integrated onto a tree. Nice.
We were exploring making the roadway solar.
That would be cool.
So I think I have good direction for the November walkthrough, and we'll start recalculating and trying to make sure that you guys can actually try to visualize it, so we can finalize the decision.
Aaron, do you guys have any panels that you've like replaced or anything, so that instead of throwing a sheet of plywood up, you just take an old bad panel or something that failed test, or, you know, I mean, they don't last forever, so we all know that, and there's been some that have been replaced, so, I don't know, if you have some old ones, it'd be probably.
I will see if we can't get a hold of a few so that you can actually see a panel up, and
Just a thought.
hopefully, yes.
More sturdy 10-foot structure.
Now, if everybody here is a hard no on carports everywhere, do we still wanna even have them put a mock-up for it?
But I think the
Well,
one
it's
at
different.
Barnum makes sense.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a little
I
different.
thought everybody was across the board,
No,
like that. Okay. Fair enough.
Rich was a hard no on the one at Barnum, but I'd like to see what it looks like.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like it. Okay. Great. Anybody else?
Sure.
Committee? All right. I really appreciate everybody's, time on this continued effort, and thanks, Aaron, I think we're good. We'll talk
Great,
tomorrow.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Appreciate the time.
Okay, construction manager at risk, monthly progress report, North End.
One thing at a time.
Okay, I've done summary sheets for everybody, you should have your packets, one for each school. We'll start with the North End. If there's any questions or you want to see anything from the full report, I can pull that up. So just looking at the North End on the back side of the first page, this is your typical summary data sheet that we provide. So site enabling work is progressing. You see it's moved from 85 to 90%. We have received the majority of the back boxes for all of the electrical panels. There's a couple that are a longer lead. They're specialty stainless steel, so they're longer lead, but we are working around that. Phase one electrical contractor has the vast majority of all of the switchboards, transformers. We just received the ATS switch for the elevator, not the elevator, sorry, the generator. And that's all in storage at his warehouse. So we are working with our phase two electrical contractor to coordinate a lot of what we call the guts, the interior parts of the panels are gonna go to Ferguson Electric, to their local facility, so they can prep them what they need, and then they'll deliver them to the school and get them installed in the back boxes. The back boxes have been installed in the school in most of the areas. That's my background. That's my computer, so I can pull up if anyone wants it, but. So as discussed, what we're talking about, so, as you can see here, building A, we are progressing in. Anyone that's been by, we've started to close that in, starting to get a lot more of the work done on that. Basically, the entire building is sheathed at this point for, North End. Some of it has the exterior veneer on it, other areas we're working towards that. A lot of Z-girts and whatnot are going in for metal panels. starting to put in temporary plastic windows to start to enclose the building at north end. So you can see as we progress, we're moving at about a 5% clip per month right now. That will pick up as we start to get inside the building and build out the inside of the building more. But building B 25%, building C 35%, building D 40%, and then the site work, 50%. And again, most of what is left is finishes work, playgrounds. They've got curbing getting installed everywhere. We just started to install the curbing along the Jarvis Street side. So they're working their way towards that. Binder course is in. The remaining binder course is scheduled before the end of the month. So hopefully, but next week the rain has kind of, we've had a couple of days where we've lost time in the rain, but they are prepping and getting ready for that binder. And once we get that in, that'll be the last of the binder for the entire north end project. So again, as I said, finished paving, likely going to be towards the end of next spring, early summer, before we put the finished paving and line striping, things of that nature. So as far as where we are at contingency wise, from a CM perspective, we have about $1,702,907 left. I think the only expenditure we had was that one tank that we missed in buyout for the up at the Marion Drive for the water vault, I should say, at the vault for the water, where the water comes in. So tracking as potential change orders, we've got 208,426, slightly down from last time, and you see obviously we've got some approved changes. We have 50,546 of approved changes to date. That is not considering allowance expenditures and things like that.
So that's 208 new $1,000?
Potential.
New potential.
Yes, new potential. Right, that's inclusive of the large change order for CPS changes, because we haven't finalized that approval yet, so that hasn't moved into the approved column, even though this committee has authorized us to proceed as a not to exceed number. Until we finalize that number, it won't get moved into the approved column. So about half of that has already been approved as a not to exceed by this committee.
I guess what I'm asking is the column on the right is current, right? The one on the left?
The original is on the left, the current is today, yes, that's potential change orders.
Right, but the approved changes, there was 35.
Yep, and now
And
there's,
now it's not an additional 50.
no, that's the new number,
we're
yes,
not
up by,
adding it up.
up by 15,000 or so,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's always a running total. I think.
Yes, yes, yep, so that 50 will move to the original, and then the current will, yes.
I just didn't know from my head, I was trying to
Absolutely.
85.
Nope,
So-
nope, 50 total, 50 and change total, yes.
Thank you.
Yep. If you, any other questions on the summary page? If you take a look, you can see, the next page is just a little explanation. This is our monthly cost control report. This tracks everything, so you can see on the baseline budget, which is the very first column, after the titles, is the original contract value for each and every trade. And then any potential changes, potential budget revisions is the second column there, so you can see how we got to those potential numbers. And then the approved budget revisions, whether they be credits or adds, are in the third row. The right-hand side is really just between us and our subcontractors. The left-hand side is, columns are between O&D and the owner. And if you go onto the second page of the larger document, towards the bottom, you'll see, any additional bond or fee that gets added in, those are tracked on those line items under the potential or approved. You see our CM allowances, on the five or six, I think six maybe here. We track all of those. CM contingency, we started with 1,715,000. We've approved 12,877 to date. So total contingency left 1,702,907. We're in a very healthy state right now at North End, from the CM contingency side this far in. Typically, what we see from our experience is that more of your CM contingency items tend to come up in the earlier phases, the earlier part of the job with the site work, the steel, that larger activities. Not to say that we won't run into CM contingencies in the second half of the project with the interiors, but your bigger ticket items is typically on the outside of the building versus, or the structural part of the building versus it finishes inside. So that, from a CM contingency, that would be buyout misses, that would be, you know, our mistakes, things of that nature, where the CM contingency was to cover. Any questions on the north end? All right, jumping over to the Norton, that's the second packet in there. So again, Norton, you can see where we're at in here. Building A completion 22%, building B 24%. Enabling work at 100% right now. Again, they have all the material except for 2 back boxes, so it's maybe more like 98% versus 100, but all of that equipment is there. You know, C and D, obviously you're seeing us move quite a bit better, you know, forward move, or more completion at this time in the C and D area. And site work's about 41%. They're a little bit farther behind. They have more work to do next spring due to the existing building and the work around that they can't do now. And then obviously no update on percentages of the demo, because that won't happen until next summer, after the school is completed and turned over. From a potential budget changes, contract changes, we are seeing a little bit more on this side. Obviously, you've seen some bigger numbers in here. 284,231 of potential at this time. That's up 18,000 or so from last month. And then approved budget changes, you can see we have gone from 189,507 to 237,765. So those incorporate some of the changes that were approved in the last meeting. And for our CM contingency fund, we have basically not spent very much. 1,604,107 is what we still have in CM contingency fund at Norton. And again, that's a very healthy contingency at this point of the project from a CM perspective. Right, and then obviously the same thing. Any questions? You know, this is the same. The backup sheets here. If there's any questions on the cost control report, the larger of the sheets. Again, we're showing where we have the potential costs. 64,000 in steel. Some of your bigger numbers, 24,447 in gypsum board. That's a combination of a couple of different items. Bigger ones here, the 59,730. That's from your room changes that we previously approved. Electrical, the majority of that is also the room changes. And then site work is the next bigger one. Site work and fire protection, a couple of potentials. Again, site work you can see is where we have the most changes, 323,782. A lot of that is related to the topsoil, the contaminated soils. Yep. So, and from expenditure point, from perspective of the CM contingency, we've only spent $2,446 in that. Any questions on the Norton side? All right.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Justin, Architects, any update?
Yeah, so I will ask what the pleasure of the committee is. I printed out basically a summary slide deck of the results of the work that we've been doing with the working group. I can put this on the screen. I'm going to warn you, it's 60 slides. I can go through it very quickly, but why don't I bring it up and then you guys can tell me if I'm going wrong. I just want to be respectful of everybody's patience. What's that?
Is that a dig at me?
No, not at all.
Ben has exhausted our patience.
Never.
Got it.
I know. I just, lesson learned here. I need to make sure that I don't have anything up that I.
No pictures of your vacation?
No.
Good, thank you, Justin.
Why would we want to control it with this money?
No, it's all in the connection here. Just gonna do this again. The computer is recognizing. Hopefully it's come up. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it will. 1 second.
It's Windows, right?
Yeah.
You have to set it, that thing to display. Okay, like F8 or something.
Here we go.
What'd you say?
Just waiting it.
You want to email it to me and I'll just use this one?
We're gonna get this up. I presented with this exact setup here a couple of times, so.
I'll stop putting freaking sandwiches. Have my wife cook for you guys, if that's what it takes.
Okay, we're gonna go through the whole troubleshooting.
Everybody opposed to just kind of flipping through the printout, or?
No.
No, I'm happy with paper.
Because you know he's gonna start with where we've been.
Takes
So-
control.
so while
They
we're
work out
at-
there. I know this good.
See, when you unplug it,
It knows
It knows
something,
that-
then it shows, it flashes, and then.
The cord's still on, you're a little lost in the cord.
I know, it's out of control.
why don't, while we're waiting for this thing to detect the devices, I did pass out, a slide deck. And as I had mentioned, I think we're at like 65 slides, but this is a pretty good capture of what the FF&E process has been. So, slide number 2 is our typical project summary page. It just identifies what the construction costs are, the overall project costs are, and the FF&E cost, or budget, I should say, for Barnum is $3,520,000. That is inclusive of both FF&E and IT and technology. And for Norton Elementary School, it's $2,199,100. So the next series of slides are just a refresher of, some of the site plans, the floor plans. If you turn to page 6, slide 11, it just highlights the breakdown between FF&E and IT for the total FF&E and IT budget that I just mentioned for Barnum and Norton. It is worth noting that the numbers that are listed in the Barnum FF&E and IT allocations are, no, my computer's doing some funky stuff here. Watch this, it'll come up now. Are representative of budget reallocations once we understood some bid savings within the overall Barnum budget. And Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong. First of all, those numbers match.
They are
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
yeah.
because we could only carry a certain amount of owner's contingency in the overall total project cost, if I understand correctly. So there were some modest allocations into the,
For Barn.
for Barnum.
Yes.
So there were no additional updates to Norton. So the next series of slides is we have taken every classroom typology and shown Nicole Tatro, who will be at a future meeting, has been
Fabulous.
been a rock star,
Outstanding. Patient.
navigating virtual meetings of 20 people, each with opinions of what should go in their personal classroom. So credit to the administrators for, and the principals for making sure that everybody's staying on task and we're trying to get continuity between the two schools. So the first series of slides are for the pre-K classrooms. Are you gonna just see if you're?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to just see if doing mine kickstarts it.
So we have our pre-kindergarten areas. You'll see in each classroom, we're identifying desks, we're identifying storage, area rugs, soft seating, teacher desks, and teacher stations. So those are similar for the first couple of slides, pre-kindergarten, the Smart Start classrooms, the Early Intervention Center, the Intensive Education Center, or IEC, our Pre-K Parent-Child Resource Center. So very similar styles of storage, focus on durability, flexibility, etc. When we get into the early childhood, the kindergarten areas, you'll start to see instructional, or what we would call the kind of play activities that are within those classrooms. So you'll see like little kitchens, model kitchens, play tables, storage areas for, I think I know exactly what's going on. It's, I don't have it plugged in, it's working off the battery, so
I will say that, right down to the selection of the area rugs as we go through, it's been a lot of painstaking detail, that the teachers and the administrators spent, so, the administrators are signing off, on each grade, so that this is what we're gonna go out and purchase and acquire for their rooms. So I think this was a really thorough job.
yeah. I will just note that color selections have not occurred yet. So the colors that you're seeing in these things are not representative of what the actual selections have been. So that's something that once we finalize the selections, we'll be going through another round of just color palettes, et cetera, to help kind of marry in. Or, look at this, that's exactly what it was. Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my goodness,
It was because I was not plugged in.
that is the wildest reason.
Crazy.
All right. Technology.
Okay, so I'm gonna just go catch up to where we were in. So just to go back to the discussion on Norton, where that flat roof area was, this is the kind of study area with some of the glazing there that looks out onto it. So we went through. Thank you. So, as I mentioned, I think we talked about some of the kind of play activity equipment as part of FF&E. When we get into grades 1 and 2 and the lower elementary grades, you'll see a variety of seating and tables that are, the goal of the tables or the desks, are to allow for the flexibility of arrangements from just, one student per desk to small groups. You'll see the small group arrangement that's here. The area that's in F, the area that's in F here is the area rug. So we put that in front of the interactive display, so if there's reading time or any type of instruction that needs to occur with students sitting on the area rug, it can be done so in front of the classroom. Again, a lot of the storage or the manipulatives that go into some of the smaller boxes and stuff are also encumbered. Similar palette for when we start getting to grades 3, 4, and 5. Classroom desks will have this storage directly under the desk, with the exception of the ADA. We need to make sure that we have a percentage of desks that are accessible in each classroom. Those will, just for clearance purposes, those desks will not have that storage container. In each area, in each of the classrooms, we do have some kind of informal seating or soft seating that is part of the arrangement. Grade 6, you'll see as we're starting to get into some of the older grades, it's more focused on instruction, less focused on kind of activities that you see in lower elementaries. So when we get to breakout areas, combination of some soft seating, these are all items that can move around within the spaces that they are. So the idea is that they can, students, teachers can kind of move these seating areas around. In terms of the media center furniture, first of all, you guys let me know if I'm going too slow, too fast. I can go through these slides pretty quickly. But you'll notice kind of recurring themes, mixture of soft seating. The book storage areas are part of this purchase as well as book carts. We're incorporating these kind of mobile easels in a lot of these spaces to help facilitate some of that instruction. And there's just because we are, a lower elementary, upper elementary grade configuration, we have aligned the heights of the seats and the tables to the grade levels that they're going to be at. So some unique discussion around some of the soft seating at Barnum. We have this kind of floral or flower petal type soft seating. When we get into Norton, we have these logs and campfires that are there. These are all upholstered and cushioned, etc.
That's so great.
Yeah. And then
I wish
just,
my library was like that.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Right. As the husband of a librarian, I get a lot of input into these. Admin office furniture, just for the Barnum pre-K area, just wanted to show that on the screen, just to remind everybody that we have kind of an additional admin space that has secretary's office, principal's office, front office, conference area, as well as faculty area and meeting room. So as this is kind of traditional or typical office type furniture, modular in nature, guest chairs, task chairs, as well as storage for the office desks. The principal's office, very similar arrangement with small kind of conference area and guest chairs at the desks. Conference room, large or 2 desks that can be positioned together, some storage near the display area and our conference room chairs. Meeting rooms, some soft seating there. These are the 2 front offices at Barnum on the left, Norton on the right. So Each consists of conference room, kind of check-in and guest area, principal, assistant principal, as well as work area or storage area. So very similar, we need to accommodate file storage and office setups, as well as task chairs, etc. Conference rooms, similar, as well as the kind of administrative areas with a similar arrangement. Health Street furniture, you'll see similar actual office area, but of course in our nurses suite, we need to make sure that we provide the cot area for the students that maybe not feeling well. Visual arts, these are larger tables, these are project-based tables, so those consist of the areas where the students are going to be sitting for the classroom. We do have in the lower elementary, we do have kind of a area rug that the students can sit in front of the teaching station. In the upper level or upper elementary level, we have kind of some movable areas that kids can pop a squat and sit in front of the, yeah. You haven't heard that term, Joe?
Didn't, not like that.
Different context.
Cafeteria furniture, spent a lot of time working with the administration as well as the food service director on the types of the tables. So we have a mixture of the elliptical and the wave tables at both cafeterias. We do have some additional seating that will be in storage, but in the event that we need to provide chairs out in these areas for an event, either in the gymnasium or the cafeteria, we're making sure that we encumber that. So in North End, there is a small, what we call the upper cafeteria level. It's just an area on the second floor that's overlooking the cafeteria. We have some tables that are up here as well as some soft seating.
What's the reason for having the 3 different types of tables?
Just, yeah, I think it was variety of different shapes within the space.
Justin, you showed 2 with decorations on the top. I know you just said colors aren't involved, but is there any plan to utilize the capability to decorate?
Yeah, I don't think there was interest to.
There was interest from the food service director, but
Well,
I think there's
Erica
some conflicting.
It's being debated.
interests, Yeah.
The
Okay.
administrators want just a flat
Yeah.
colored surface, but there's a lobbying effort going on to have some kind of,
Interesting. Okay.
more fun
School pride.
type pattern.
Yeah.
So, TBD.
Okay.
Yeah, put some pizzas.
That'd be cool.
Drive the kids nuts.
Only Fridays. Only
All cost the
Fridays.
same?
There is a premium for graphics that are, especially if they're custom graphics. But I'll,
Mustangs it is.
You might be
That was
a
the
bit-
fun, that was the Mustangs, there we go.
Stock.
We got our mascot.
Just says stock on it.
Yeah.
so,
The slacks.
Sample, yeah.
So I will tell you, the youth wrestling team that I coach, there's a family of 5 young wrestlers that one's in middle school, one's in like 1st grade now, so they've been going through the program. Their last name is Perillo, and nobody can spell it correctly. So in our lost and found pile or our free pile, there's a whole stack of hooded sweatshirts that have the last name Perillo misspelled. So that's the joke when anybody comes in and say, hey, do you spell your last name like this? You can have a free sweatshirt. So some of the special education or resource areas, these are intervention spaces, psychologist, social worker, having a instructor desk as well as a desk and some storage in each of the rooms to facilitate, 1, 2, 3, 4 students in the office. Same thing with speech. We have 2 teacher stations that are in there, and again, small table. For OTPT, we have an area rug, some storage within the storage room. The one thing that I will note is within the construction documents, we have swing support for a therapeutic swing that's within the OTPT space. So that's already part of the structural steel that is from the superstructure that's in there. So part of this is just making sure that we're providing clearances so that when a student is swinging in there, they're not crashing into the teachers.
Thank you.
Similar type seating. Here you'll see the variety of the chair heights, so we're utilizing the same chair lines, but we'll color code the sizes as well from 14 inches to 18 inches, depending on the location of the rooms. Special education resource, this is outfitted more like a classroom in the sense that we have built-in casework, we have teaching stations, so kind of outfitting these, although there will be fewer students in here, we want to make sure that we're providing all of the instructional components of classroom seating as well as some of the soft seating areas. And we have these things are pretty cool. Tackable, they're freestanding easels, tackable on one side and a magnetic dry erase board on the other. And which one are we on? OTPT, so this is similar setup and arrangement with the area rugs, some more storage for the activities or the content.
What's a noodle chair? Is it like you can fidget in it?
Yes.
Okay.
So these guys right here.
Well, it says noodle. Variety of chair
Question.
has noodle, and there was a type of chair, regular type of chair noodle on a previous slide.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So the noodles, that's the one that Nicole sent us a sample. It sits on a pedestal, and you could
so you can just
move around in it
oh man,
and
my
fidget
kids
in it.
would love those.
I didn't think they were that great.
No?
And they weren't popular with the people that came and visited.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why Nicole had that
Yeah.
as a question mark. Does anyone want the noodles?
Yeah. So that is the other thing. The vendor had provided some trial materials and furniture at
The main office.
At the main office. Again, similar, I'm gonna start, when we start getting to some of these duplicated slides, I'll just kind of, you'll see the theme of, trying to align a lot of these,
I had a question actually on that one as well. The storage rack on the bottom left there, that doesn't have to be secured to the wall or anything?
well, it's in the actual storage room. I believe.
So it's not in any office, or any?
Yeah, it's not out in the classroom. We only put that open shelving, kind of industrial looking, storage areas, racks within storage.
But
rooms
even for
proper.
A, that looks like it's 4 or 5 feet tall or something.
Yeah, that
That
this
doesn't
guy
need to be
here.
secured either?
I will verify with
I
Nicole.
think they do attach it.
Yeah.
I know they
think
do in the
there is-
library over a certain height.
Yeah, depends on the height. Yeah, so we are required when we go to OGA to have a secure attachment clause on all of the documents. So I'll just validate that these particular ones do. There's a certain threshold that you're required to have. Okay, IEC. I will point out some of these kind of freestanding partitions in the IEC rooms. You'll see these for students that kind of need focus time or time that is outside of the classroom, just to either take 5, cool down, or just put their head down and do some work. So that's part of the arrangement in the IEC room. Intervention spaces, very similar in content as far as having our teachers' desks as well as kind of group tables and storage.
What furniture are you having in the de-escalation rooms?
Just
Limited.
soft furniture.
I don't think we have it identified.
Yeah, I don't think that we did that, with the intervention, but it's soft and,
Like bean bags?
yeah.
Like a poof, yeah. Teacher support, so making sure that we're providing the kind of occasional seating and tables, both in the faculty lounge and in the teacher work areas. Pre-kindergarten offices, we have a greater need for kind of workstations that teachers can check into. So we have some built-in millwork around with a larger table in the middle of the room. We have our large storage area at Barnum off of the pre-kindergarten program, has both an interior door and an exterior door, so storage.
Can we put a lawnmower through that door?
Yes, that double door. Yes.
Access to outside.
They cried for this space because of the type of items they have there at Darcy. They don't have enough storage.
Yeah, we had
Darcy has-
an exceptional amount of play
Yeah.
manipulatives, the younger
Play
grades.
manipulative, some
Mentioned
medical
tricycles?
devices.
Tricycles, yeah.
You have an office storage, so making sure that we're accommodating some of these racks that's in there. Here's your list of other storage spaces where we also are providing that storage. Professional development, making sure that we can, have these tables that can flip up and move out of the way. Our teacher work areas, making sure that we're accommodating enough seating and enough table space. I think that's it. So that's FF&E. I will say for technology, where I'll give a description, at our next presentation, we'll be able to run through the list of items. So smart boards, wireless access points, network gear, so switches, servers, etc. We're going through some of the cost modeling to make sure that there are requests for printers, additional computers, so we're kind of looking at that as well. Within that IT line item is some of the facilities equipment as well, so going through Rich Clavette's list to make sure that we're encumbering all of the items there. So still trying to refine the project budgets, but my guess is that by next week, we should be able to have the budgets lined up. So, any questions?
All the chairs with legs that you had there, that are in all the classrooms, how's that play with the flooring that you have? And like marking it and everything else?
We had a lot of discussion about casters versus gliders. We've gone to gliders, right?
So,
Yes.
yeah, well, they want for the most part gliders,
Yeah.
sled chairs, not the four-legged.
Right. They come with protection for flooring. So I can't promise you that there's not going to be scuffs, occasional scuffs, etc.
The occasional scuff, I don't think is a problem. We went to a bunch of schools when we were looking at, like early on, and you go in there and it's just like, tennis ball heaven
Yeah.
of little tennis balls on every single chair imaginable,
Yeah.
which I would hate to see in the school.
Yeah.
So-
Think that could be overkill though? Yeah, I'm wondering if they're just so nervous about screwing up the floor they do that, or,
I don't know, it was like.
or the floor
multiple
banged
schools,
up.
it wasn't
Yeah.
one-off.
It
Right.
wasn't just one.
We had
Yeah.
a
Some
lot
of
of
that-
discussion around,
Yeah.
we no tennis balls. Rich Gussenberg was,
Yeah.
anti-tennis balls as well.
Some of the
It's
tennis
just-
balls are also due to acoustics, like the teachers
Oh,
just
yeah.
go, get driven nuts by hearing stuff
Mhm.
scrape across the floor. Also, if you're above another
Yeah,
classroom, you don't
second
want to
floor
hear that.
stuff is always fun.
Also kids with cochlear implants.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the frequency is, it's that.
It's hard to put a tennis ball on glide though.
Yeah,
No, that's a good point.
it's a huge tennis ball.
Slice up a noodle.
Yeah, full noodle.
Okay, just construction
Like a pontoon
administration
chair.
summary?
Okay.
That's you, Justin?
So we had sent out, I'll be brief in this because I think a lot of the project updates Ryan had covered in his CM update. But just at a high level, I'll start at North End. Since the last report, 17 new construction RFIs for a total of 166, 91 new submittals for a total of 903. We continue to attend the scheduled meetings as well as ad hoc meetings as things come up. Within the field report, there should be 2 from Tecton, 2 from Kohler Ronan. I think we hit an off report from Dinesh in there, so I know we had included it on the last one. And so I would say the submittal flow, we're starting to get on the other end of the kind of peak of the submittal flow, so, yeah, would you?
I don't know if that's as true for Barnum. It feels like Barnum's picked up a little bit, but.
Yep.
So, yeah, but we are down to from over 1,000 on each job. One job, when we reported on it, was less than 200, and the other one is a little over 200, I think, left. And that does not count closeout submittals. That's project-related submittals, not the closeout. We will get into that phase of closeout once we get through the vast majority of what's left, and maybe a few odds and ends. And then of those 3 and 200, or say, there may be some duplicate placeholders and things like that in our numbers that we are working to resolve. So we are, I think, again, going down, there are upticks where we get dumped on. We have a few of our finishes guys and who pretty much handed every single submittal they owe us to us at once. So yeah, we're working with that, and the design team has been very understanding and patient with us on those.
I won't say we've been patient.
Patient.
You could have been a lot
We've
less
been
patient.
tolerable. No, I'm joking, Ryan. For Norton, 20 new construction RFIs for a total of 184, 61 new submittals for a total of 751, 4 PCOs submitted since the last report. The one thing that I will mention in our distribution is that we keep a PCO log that kind of tracks bulletins that have been issued, as well as, blame codes, for lack of a better term, whether it's an unforeseen condition, whether it's error or omission, or the responsibility matrix of that. So those, we try and be transparent with all of the communication that's going out in the form of proposal requests or ASIs or no CCDs yet on these projects. So those are included as part of your CA summaries as well as the field reports. Any questions? Did I miss anything, Laurel?
I don't think so.
Okay, Rich, budget update?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Did I think those are budget approvals, or they, yeah?
These are mine.
Those
Next, the wonders, please.
Yeah, I love
These?
it.
Oh, yeah, these, okay. All right. Same things.
Yeah, no,
What's
I
left?
printed them out because I I know we're not
Yeah.
printing anymore, but I have to give it, once you approve, I have to provide these.
Okay, fine.
Okay, everybody get a copy?
Yes.
So, we'll start with Barnum North End. And, so what we did is we actually added a column that shows the percentage of encumbrance for each individual line item. So that's the third blue column that you'll see. And, just to kind of highlight it, you'll see that we're 100% encumbered for architecture, owner's oversight. Some of the things that are still under encumbrance are things like the environmental consultant. That's actually carried in our contract. So we've got $75,000 there that won't get encumbered because it's under our contract. We have things like town services. You'll see that there's 25% encumbrance for the legal services. Bond counsel, I think, was 65%. We haven't even touched the other town costs. So there are line items that we haven't touched, we probably won't touch. And then when you go down to the bottom, you'll see things that Justin just covered for the FF&E and technology. We have a total of $3,520,000 that we haven't encumbered yet. That'll start to get encumbered as the packages go out for bidding, or whether or not we use the state contracts. So we're at 83% overall on our budget as far as encumbrances go. And then what we've spent on those encumbrances is approximately 31%. Questions? Okay. The back page is just tracking the owner's contingency that we utilize to cover anything that we need to, either increase a line item for or whatnot. So architectural services, owner's oversight, you'll see that we did do amendments for the environmental services and so forth. Town services, construction manager, and to Justin's point before, we increased the FF&E and technology by $500,000 because we had such an ample contingency on the Barnum project. So we did put $500,000 into each individual line. For the Norton project, same thing. We added the column. So third red column is the percentage of encumbrances. If you go to the bottom, you'll see that we've got 90% encumbered for the project, so it's a little bit higher than on the Barnum project. But we knew Norton had some additional expenses anyway, so that's why we're kind of ahead of where we are with the budget on Barnum, and approximately 32% of that has been spent to date. Same thing on the backside. Just tracking where the owner's contingencies are. The other thing that I passed around, and this is something that we're going to start tracking, you haven't seen this yet, this is something new, is we're taking all of the contingencies, owner contingency, bid savings, and the GMP contingency, and we're just putting it onto one sheet, so you can get a visual as to where you are overall on where the contingencies, the collective contingencies are. And you'll see that owner's contingency, bid savings, we've got $10 million on Barnum, and we had a very good buyout on the Barnum project. Norton, a little tighter. We were always tight on that one to begin with, but we only got $800,000 on bid savings, so we have approximately $5 million in owner and bid savings contingencies in the budget. And then on the construction contingency, as Ryan had pointed out, $1.7 million for Barnum and $1.6 million for Norton. That's right now. That doesn't include things that actually it wouldn't on the GMP contingency. It's something that we'll probably take out of owner's savings, but the changes to the admin areas that we talked about at the last meeting have not been encumbered yet, so that's something that'll come out of the projected changes to the owner's contingency, so that's not reflected here yet. But bottom line is on Barnum, we have about $12.5 million, and on Norton, we have about $6.5 million. Question?
What's the biggest storage shed I can buy?
And I have to say, this was not done for for Vin's sake.
I think especially given the change orders today, this is very useful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Invoice approvals. Do we
Okay.
have those sheets, or?
I have the summary sheets, yes.
Okay.
You're not voting?
So we have the summaries here.
I don't know if we have your sheet now, do we have anything else?
That's it, right? The summary
Right,
sheets.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not printing out
Or
the.
the backup,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so starting with the north end, first invoice number 13168, Testcon Incorporated for material testing services, $17,390.
Ooh, 17,000.
$17,000. $17,390.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes. Okay, second one, invoice 25120, MP Planning for other consultant, $5,298.75.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Just, this is the redistrict.
This is the redistrict, yeah.
I'm good.
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Third one, invoice number 360-73760, Arcadis Owner Representative Services, $15,122.22.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, invoice number 100-52025 North End, Versteeg Associates, third-party code compliance review, $4,500.
So moved.
Second.
Question, what is this for?
This was this was the review of the sprinkler drawings that
Oh, okay.
the fire marshal said that they couldn't do.
Yeah, fair enough, thanks, I forgot.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, Tecton Architects, invoice number 48575, architectural services, $74,580.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, invoice number 14, ONG Construction Manager, $5,318,558.10.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, moving on to Norton School. First one is invoice 0053524, Van Zelm Engineers, commissioning services, $2,321.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Why is it from May?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Why is it from May?
Yeah.
I think it was a misinvoice. We reviewed we reviewed what was outstanding and they had sent over an invoice that we didn't submit for approval. So it's just a catch-up.
You think that, or?
No, it
That
is.
is it.
It is.
Yeah, I think what happened is that they went through their records and they realized that there was an AR that they hadn't been paid for, and we hadn't received it. So we told them to send it over to us again. We reviewed it. It was legitimate.
All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, invoice 13166, Testcon Incorporated, material testing services, $19,683.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next, Arcadis, invoice number 360-73761, owner representative services, $12,219.21.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, Versteeg Associates, invoice number 100-52025, Norton, third-party code compliance review, $4,500.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, invoice 00-54011, Van Zelm Engineers, commissioning services, $1,160.50.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next one, Tecton Architects, invoice 48576, architectural services, $64,039.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Final one, invoice number 14, O&G for construction manager, $4,130,375.93.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, action recommendations on change orders.
So we have a couple of things that we are going to talk about tonight. First of all, we need to amend the purchase orders for Testcon Associates or Testcon Industries. So Testcon is the independent third-party agent that we're using for testing materials on site. And we had an initial purchase order of $92,000 for Norton and $100,000 for, actually, I think it's the other way around, $92,000 for Barnum and $100,000 for Norton. We have gotten to the point with their invoices that we need to amend the contracts. We're taking a look at the invoices that have been paid to date, and in addition to the services that are still ongoing that we're going to need for the next couple of months. Things will start to phase down as we get into the finishes. We're not going to need testing anymore, but currently we still need testing. So a number of factors. There were a lot more on-site tests that we didn't anticipate. We projected a certain amount, but there was a significant amount more. The town engineering department wasn't doing any underground testing, so we tasked Testcon to do that inspections for us. And then there are some additional testing that we've gone through the specifications, and we have recognized that Testcon has the ability to do those. So we're having Testcon actually take care of those subsequent services that are going to be coming down the line. So we're asking for an additional $100,000 be added to the purchase order for North End, and $150,000 for Norton.
What's the difference?
There's your shed.
Well, because we've actually overspent a lot more on the Norton project than we did on the Barn project. We have two different teams out there, and so that the superintendents will call Testcon as they feel it's necessary.
At this point in the project, how much more testing is needed?
Well, so we're asking to increase it by $100,000 and $150,000, so we don't have to come back a third time. We anticipate that we're not going to spend this much, Andrew, and we don't think that we have to take it from the owner's contingency, because as I pointed out in the budget, we do have areas in the budgeted line items that we can take it from some of the other consultants that haven't been touched and won't be touched. I think, as an example, we were looking at other consultants. So you'll see that there's, in the budget for Barnum, you'll see that there's an uncommitted balance of $75,000 for other consultants. And we don't think there's gonna be any other consultants that we're going to need, so we can move that money up into the line item.
And their current contract is under you.
TestCon? No,
Yeah.
no, TestCon is its own.
So where are they in the list?
They are under testing and inspections. So you'll see it says geothermal because we actually use that line item for the geothermal testing. If you go to the Norton page, you'll see that it actually says geothermal and materials testing. So we have to fix that note.
So if we approve it, the numbers on this will change to reflect the movement of the money around?
Yeah, yes, that is correct. Yeah, what we're asking is that the purchase order get amended, but then we will adjust the budget so that we're actually funding that line item. So, and it's not a full 100 and 150 because we actually had balance left over in those line items. So, we think that we can cover it with those other lines that are below it, the other consultant and so forth.
So on the new north end, the other consultant budget is 280, right?
Norton, north end.
And north end,
Okay.
it was 280, and we've committed 75 of it, so we have 205 left in there, and you're only taking 100. Am I reading that right?
That's correct.
But you're saying that we don't need any other consultants either, but that's just gonna stay in there, or are we moving that to, like, owner's contingency?
Yeah, so we can drop that down to owner's contingency. That's something, Emily and I talked about this, and I said that's really the building committee's prerogative as to where they want to do that. So, we can move wherever. We've zeroed out some of the line items so that, you're at 100%, and if it's needed for more, we can certainly move it up from owner's contingency, or we can leave it in the line item and determine at a later date whether or not we just drop it down to owner's contingency.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
I'm just
I think I'd
confused
rather
about.
take it out of owner's contingency.
Fund owner's contingency is cleaner that way.
Yeah.
I'm just confused, I apologize, I guess I'm not a numbers guy, but I'm looking at Norton and testing and inspections, it says there's a budget of 190. It looks like we've expended 150, but this says the current purchase order amount is 100,000. That's,
But because what we used, we actually had the geothermal testing and that same line item, Chris.
So it's two things together.
Yeah, two things together, because that was also testing.
okay. And that's not by materials testing, so that's not.
No, that was separate. That was actually Simon Drilling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we need a motion on these two for the budget changes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion to approve an additional $100,000 for materials testing services to Preston Incorporated for the new North End Elementary School to come out of owner's contingency.
Second.
Which,
I thought we just
I
said
thought
we weren't
it
moving
wasn't
out of
coming from
owner's
the
contingency.
contingency. I thought it was
We
coming
said
from
it
the
was
other
something that we
consultants.
could do. I think that there was a discussion down this end of the
Okay.
table where Dennis suggested that, he would prefer to see it out of owner's contingency. And I don't disagree. It's actually more clear that way because you'll be able to see, you'll see the movement from owner's contingency up to a line item. So if we do have an underage on a line, we can drop it down to owner's contingency, and then we can then refund it up to whatever line. So
If we
it's just,
start moving things around within each line item, it's like a shell game.
Right, we're gonna lose the clarity of where stuff's
that,
coming
that's
from.
exactly right, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
So
sense
are
to
we
me.
then going to, if we don't need these other consultants, are we
It
just
comes back
leaving
to
that?
us.
Are we just leaving it in there for now, though? Is that
For
what
now,
you're
I
saying?
mean, we can clean that up, but at some point you can drop it down to owner's contingency and then increase that value.
At the end of the project.
When we're trying to find that storage shed money, we'll move everything down, and then we'll have it.
There you go. Good luck with that.
Yeah. I'll just keep, I'll be thinking of even when I'm dragging my wagon.
Which school was this motion for?
North End. For North End, is there a second to Dennis's motion?
I already seconded it.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, motion for the change to the Norton School.
So same motion for Norton in the amount of $150,000 for materials testing services to Descom Incorporated to come out of owner's contingency.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay.
Okay, we also have change orders from O&G.
We're not doing this.
Skip the last one. Those are easy.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
thank you.
So, if you, and I apologize because Emily revised it and I used an old file, but we caught that it says New Norton up at the top, but if it's the blue band, it's actually North End.
All right, real quick, I forgot one announcement during my, if you'll grace me with it. My superintendent, Brian, over at Norton, wanted to inform this committee. Tomorrow will be our second O&G Builds event with the students over at there. This is going, our Mason is hosting the O&G Builds event. They have the Mason business agent, so the union business agent for the Masons coming down. They have a special mortar coming that's safe for use with schooling, for schooling apprentice Masons. So the area where they're gonna be able to, the students are actually gonna be able to get their hands into this mortar and get a little dirty, but get a little hands-on experience. And that's gonna be at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, so if anyone's available, please come by. Our marketing director is gonna be there to take pictures and whatnot, so we just wanted to share that information with everyone. We're real excited about this program, and I think the students and teachers are really enjoying it as well, so.
Amen. Thanks for doing it.
It's
really cool.
Norton.
Norton at 11.
Norton at 11 tomorrow, yeah. All right, to get to the change orders, we're gonna start with the north end, because as Chuck said, the very last one at Norton is one that we'll probably have some discussion on more than normal. So, starting off with change order PCO 14R1. This is Bulletin 19, plumbing fixture changes. So this change order is for the labor and materials related to the changes in sinks associated with Bulletin 19R1. It is a credit of $28,451.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any
Can't do it
discussion?
fast enough.
All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
The second PCO here is PCO 18R2. This is from RFI 53, building C&D brick lentil at the building corners. So this change order is for work associated with RFI 53. For the corner windows on both C and D buildings, there is missing information to support the brick facade. Working with the design team and the use of structural steel and metal framing were evaluated for both cost and functionality. It was determined as a group that the use of structural steel is the best option. Proposal captures all of the details provided in the RFI. So what this was is that where there's windows in these corners, and there was not enough support, right, at these corners. It was determined the mason was asking for landing places for the lintel to support the bricks facade that is outside or above these windows. So through the discussions, this was what was come up with, and we evaluated both the structural steel and cold form metal framing options, and it was determined that to go with the structural steel option was the most economic for this issue. So this is for a total of $10,035 to come out of the owner's contingency, and we do feel this will be an eligible reimbursable.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Zach, I would change that from an F to a D.
Yeah, I would agree.
In my log it is, yeah. Well, and I'll make sure to review with them what these when it comes out.
Okay, all those in favor accepting change order PCO 18R2? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, PCO 25R1, this is to add a third Knox box per the direction of the fire marshal. So when the chief of the fire department and the fire marshal were out on site walking with the superintendents at North End, they reviewed, we do have 2 Knox boxes included in the project, one at the main entrance, one at the main entrance to the pre-K wing. They want a third Knox box to be installed at the entrance to the main electrical room where the main fire panel is, for egress purposes for the fire department to get directly to that. They don't want them to have to walk through the entire building. So the cost of this is $938, and coming out of the owner's contingency, and we also feel this will be an eligible reimbursable cost.
Move to approve.
Second.
At least we'll know how much it costs for the shed.
Yeah. Any discussion? What is the Knox box?
Well, that's.
It's for the Knox boxes where we have the keys and whatnot for the building, and the fire panel, any keys that the fire department is the ones that have access to this, so it's kind of like a little lock box on the outside of the building. So embedded in the brick walls, and then when they show up, they just use their master key to pop open that, and they can get any keys that they need to access the fire panel. This way they don't have to carry it on a key ring, or whatever. So
Why $1,000 to install a little dumb box?
it's mostly, if you look at the second page, it is $624 for the actual box itself, $36 for the shipping, and then you've got an hour and a half of labor to install.
We do have them at all the schools.
Oh, you have to.
Standard.
Well, they also make $30. But that's fine, we'll keep standard.
Okay, all those in favor of approving change order number PCO 025R1? Anyone opposed? Yes, approved, okay. Passes unanimously. Or approved, okay.
All right, PCO 27, skip over one here?
26.
Sorry.
26
Out of order here. PCO 26R1, 3/4 inch plywood for backboards. This change order is to increase the plywood thickness from a 1/2 inch to a 3/4 inch. Specification 061053 calls for the plywood backboards in the data and electrical rooms to be 1/2 inch, and the specification 271116 calls for the plywood to be 3/4 inch, but refers back to spec section 061053. We have assigned the backboards for all of our panels, all of our electrical rooms, to the general trades contractor. When O&G assigned the spec sections that they own, we did not include spec section 271116 that calls for the 3/4 inch. So they only carried the 1/2 inch, which was in their specification. This is a buyout miss by O&G. We should have included that specification, the 27, which is specific to data rooms IT equipment, and therefore they only carried a 1/2 inch. So this is for $829 for the upcharge to go from 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, and 4 hours of labor because the plywood is heavier. So 4 additional hours to transport, and I think it's 54 sheets of plywood.
They work slower with the heavier plywood?
Yes, they do. Same thing as if you do 2-inch conduit versus 4-inch conduit.
So
I
here-
lose this argument every single day.
So here's my question.
Yep.
O&G bought the contract from us
Mhm.
based on the plans and specs.
Correct.
You made a mistake, why are we paying for it?
That's what the CM contingency is built for, is specific to the language that's being CM contingency is for biomisses, things of this nature. You didn't pay for it when you bought it at bid time. So, you know, that's why you're paying for it now. You know, you would have paid for it then, had we done this, you would have paid the same incurred minus maybe the OH&P. But there's no OH&P from O&G on this one. This is going straight out of CM contingency.
Motion to approve.
But there's a quarter-inch slowdown.
So it comes out to about, I think it was like.
That's all I got.
Okay. All those in favor of approving PCO 26R1? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, and the last one for the north end is PCO 27, changes to the locker trim pieces. This is a change order to include edge trim to the locker cubbies, so all of our lockers are depressed into the surrounding walls. They're in cubbies. This is a thing that O&G is addressing in our special instructions because this has come up recently on several projects. All this locker trim used to be included by the locker manufacturers. They are no longer including this. In recent projects, we've seen this. This was not captured when we did the buyout of this. So this is another O&G buyout issue. To include that locker trim on the edge pieces for the entirety of the school, wherever the lockers are, what we got from the locker company was $5,944 of additional cost. The way that Tecton designed it was for the lockers to abut to the wall tile and the Schluter strip that would be abut there. The problem we run into here is that when you don't, to install the lockers, you can't make it exactly tight. And even if you leave it like a quarter of an inch, the locker companies, they're gonna damage all the walls that in getting this installed. They need some space to be able to, maneuver the lockers in place. Like I said, previously in my career, trim pieces have always been included. The design team did specify at the soffits that a trim piece had to be put in. The side pieces were not specifically called for because the design is to have the lockers fit flushly to the edge of the sheetrock where the Schluter strip ends, and so you would have that flush condition. It's just in construction that's not really doable with the areas. We need a little bit of play to get them in. I'm calling this a buyout miss because in future contracts, which doesn't help these projects, but in future, and you will see a similar one of these for Norton, not now, but they're working on it. But in future jobs, obviously, we are writing in that they have to carry up to trim piece to cover a 3-inch gap. And it's just a matter of, we did not include that language in the contract with the general trades contractor. We did take the credit back from the specialty flooring contractor for that Schluter strip, because it will no longer be needed. And the rest of it's coming out of GM, the GMP contingency. And the reason we're asking for this now is because this is always an issue, what we found is always an issue at the end of the job. You can't really do backer rod and caulking for like a 2-inch gap if you get 2 inches or 1.5 inches, and it really doesn't look good. And then if you try to do this after the fact to address this, it doesn't look like a finished install, right? By doing this now, it'll be part of the finished install before we do finished paint, before we do, all the final wall coatings or anything like that, the final flooring. We're gonna have to deal with this at some point, and this is the time to deal with it, in my opinion, and I think Justin would agree.
The challenge, the historical challenge that we've had with these conditions is that if you're thinking of a finished recess that the lockers are going into, and if you have a tile finish that's going up against the lockers, you actually have 3 trades that are all dealing with the same outside corner. You have your finished carpentry, which is dealing with the drywall edge at 3 areas of the recess. You have the wall tile being completed with an edge condition right at the outside edge, and then you have the locker edge that fits into the recess. This historically is an endless source of punch listing because each of the 3 trades all have some responsibility for the same exact condition. So this trim, we think, helps a better finished condition at the outside edge of the lockers.
And it sounds like this was something that used to come with the lockers, and now due to shrinkflation, you're just getting lockers now.
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the business. They see a way to make more money, and they're not including it. And unfortunately, we're seeing this more and more where it's not included, and it becomes a battle at the end because you don't want that big gap, even with a caulk joint. I mean, 2-inch caulk joint, even a 1/2 inch, 3/4 caulk joint is not very nice looking at that. When you have beautiful finished space elsewhere, so.
And I think that's happening across the board. I ordered a storage container and you had to buy the handles for the doors separately, which was like amazing to me. That was new.
Motion to approve.
That'd be a great motion, right? No?
I started
Okay.
discussing before we
No.
started.
All in favor of approving change order PCO 027? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Before you get into, before you whack a hornet's nest with this tariff discussion, do you want to address the fire, the electrical inspector request?
Yeah, we can bring that up.
Probably.
So we are setting up for temp heat throughout both buildings right now. We bought temp heat from the contractors. During the review process by the fire marshal of the temp heating plan, he has indicated that he would like to, and is I guess requiring or wanting to require us to provide hardwired, originally smoke and CO monitors throughout the building in the areas where we're putting in these, the heaters that are going to provide the temp heat for the winter. Typically what we include is a battery powered one that mounts in, in the area. He is looking for them to be hardwired to the temp power and interconnected, so that if one goes off, all go off. And the concern is that if you have a CO2 in one area or heaven forbid a fire, that that you get the alarm throughout the building so that all of the workers can clear out of the building. Typically that's not something we've done in the past. We have these, we don't do smoke because with welding, with dust or anything, it sets us off too easy. So we do heat. A heat and CO detector. He has indicated that they are open to the heat and CO detector, but he still wants them interconnected. There is a cost associated with it. I'm not presenting that cost for formal approval tonight, but we would like to know the committee's feeling on this. It's about $2,200-$2,300 at Norton and $2,500 or so at North End to interconnect all of these. Now this is again, this is only during the heating season until we remove all the heaters next spring, but this would be something that we'd have to do, and it's really just the electrician's cost.
He's not okay with battery ones that communicate via RF, so that if one goes off, the whole thing?
No, his concern is that if battery dies, if one of the things,
If battery dies, they beep and let you know the battery dies, like in every UL-approved smoke detector in every house across the country.
The fire marshal.
Ryan, this would come out of your construction
Yep,
contingency.
this would come out of the allowance for the temporary heat that we have, the allowance covering the temporary heat is where we would pay for this from.
It's crazy, because, battery detectors are okay with people sleeping, and you're gonna have people that are wide awake, working, who are cognizant of whether that smoke is dust from a sheetrock cutting, or if it's, from a fire.
The grand total, 4,500, you said?
Between the two schools, a little less than 5,000, but, yeah.
And without its schedule impacts?
Pardon me?
And without its schedule impacts?
It's negligible. We'll be able to get, with this committee's, tentative approval today, we will move forward, is track the time on TNM and present the formal approval. We're looking for this committee to give us the go-ahead if so that we can get this done. We do need to get the temp heat out, especially in Norton. Our sheetrock is just not drying. Plus, in both buildings, with the newer concrete and, again, we're closed in, still have a little bit of water getting in the building, nothing that's impacting any of our other, but, with the cold at night, and now we're having days where it's 60s and whatnot, we're getting a lot of sweating. So over at Norton, the sheetrock is just, the taping is just not drying the way we need it to. So it is impacting our painting ability to start, the prime and first coat of painting. So we do really need to get the heat on as soon as possible. And so this is one of the things he has requested, stated that this is gonna be something he wants to issue the permit, start doing temp heat.
So if I can just add,
Sure.
the reason why we're bringing this up is that we get these requests in the field from authorities having jurisdiction. From my perspective, I'd like to understand the posture of the committee when there's a request that clearly is being made by, the town's well-intentioned authorities that aren't necessarily validated by code or needed by any type of code reference. So commonly when some of these things, the whole reason why this came up is that comment was made in the field, O&G was like, rightfully said, okay, we'll investigate this, but understanding that funds need to be expended from either a CM contingency or an owner's contingency for any change that comes up. This particular one is modest, but there would be a legitimate posture from the design team to push back or to ask for validation from the authorities having jurisdiction. In my opinion, this doesn't rise to the level of wanting to create, controversy on the site with our friends in our jurisdictional departments. But these things come up, and they come up quickly. This came up after the PCO review meeting that you guys had earlier. Otherwise, it would have been brought up on your call. So looking for input on this particular one tonight, but also perhaps a discussion for when these things come up in the future, as they're bound to. I think we need to have a mechanism in place to, I don't know if it's the subcommittee that quickly assembles to review these, or if they.
We're not a subcommittee.
Sorry, working group.
That, it is set up specifically that way though, Justin.
Yeah.
As you said, we want to make sure that, there's quick action. That's why, it's a small working group, and, if it does come up, we'll reach out to Chuck and Dennis.
So for an example of something that has come up that is not formally requested yet, that has been indicated to us that there is gonna be wanted, and this came from the chief of the fire department. They're gonna want a specialty panel, like digital display, that when they show up for a fire alarm, it's gonna show them exactly where in the building that fire alarm is located. Again, not something that is in contract, not something that's gonna be small.
Should
right?
be.
No,
It's
the
the
fire,
annunciator.
no, they want an actual like monitor that shows a floor plan of the entire building and that has light up, like a glowing like light, like think of a Etch-a-Sketch or a Christmas light that glows where that alarm is going off, so they can know directly where.
The annunciator should have all that in there, and it should say third floor, room 506.
Understood, but, and it does, but that's not what they want. They want, and again, I'm
They
not
need to give us a code.
defending them, I'm just, and they haven't formally requested it yet, but it has been
Ridiculous.
mentioned to us in the field by the chief of the fire department. So when that comes as a formal request, we'll bring that to this committee, but obviously that would be not a small number. That
They're,
would
they're
be-
the authority of jurisdiction, so if they put it in writing and say this is mandatory, it's our rules and you have to do it, and, or if they cite a code violation, that's fine. Even with that, we can still push back to the state if we want, if it's a big number. But for something like this, I'm inclined to go with it, but I'm just cautious of the fact of, we're not here to do all the wants. The codes are in place and have been approved by all the smart people in the state that say this is what we need for safety. I just hate setting a principle, setting a precedent that every nickel and dime, that turns into $1 and it's only $1. Well, it's only $50, but well, we did those 50s, now this one's 100. I just don't want to set too much of a precedent, but this one seems like nickels and dimes to me for the detectors. I still think that the batteries, I don't see why not, but it's only a couple dollars, I don't have an issue with it, it's my opinion. Something big coming along the line, that he wants this big new display, this whole thing, if it's not required by code, it's not required by state building code, then, if we're getting thousands of dollars, then
Well, the main thing for me is that it was not requested at the time of the review
Would we be
for the
able,
display, not for the
yeah.
smoke.
Will we be able to reuse the smoke and CO detectors that we're installing?
No.
I mean, yes, they're commercial grade, temporary detectors. It's not something we could install like as part of our construction installation and a finished product. I don't think we would want to install them. We don't need them, and we have plenty of coverage once we have the full system up and running. But absolutely, these would be something we would turn over. The majority of the cost here is gonna be the wiring and labor to install that. So these individual units are about $40 a pop, and we're not getting charged for them. The contractor owns providing, he said it's like $5 per unit extra for him to buy these instead of the battery powered ones, so he said, I'm not charging you 75 or whatever the hell, amount of dollars. It's not a lot of dollars, he's just eating that cost, so as part of what he has to provide, so. It's really just the electrical, because there was nothing that we wrote in, no expectation that they had to be hardwired and interconnected.
Are you looking for a motion to approve on the detectors now?
I'm looking for authorization to proceed on T&M. Not to exceed the, it was 2,200 at Norton and that includes the removal as well, not just the install, but the removal too. 2,500, not to exceed 2,500 at North End. And the difference is North End is obviously a little bit bigger. We've got about 15% more square footage.
And if we approve 2,200 and 2,500, is that the ceiling, or are we worried it might?
No, that's the ceiling. That's the numbers that I got from the subcontractor.
Because I don't want to.
I just don't have a
come
formal.
back for another $30 next month for.
They both gave us the number, and they said, hey, this is the number that that we can do it for, and I just don't have the formal proposal to present for approval. So.
All right, so I would, if it's okay to do that, I would make a motion to approve $2,200 at Norton Elementary School for the addition of in construction smoke and CO detectors, hardwired, interconnected, per fire marshal request.
You won't make smoke though, right?
That's heat and CO, right? Yeah.
He said smoke, oh, but he's okay with heat.
Yeah.
So yes,
Not
heat-
to exceed. Or
Either way,
CO for-
that's not part of the cost, is the heat or the smoke. It's whichever one that he approves, we'll put in at no cost of the project. It's the electrical to hardwire and interconnect.
Want to reset that whole thing? Okay, thank you.
Any
What
more
he said.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
I'll also make a motion to approve a not to exceed amount of $2,500 in time and material for the installation of in construction smoke or heat detectors as required and CO detectors, hardwired, interconnected at new North End / Barnum Elementary School.
Okay.
Second.
As requested by Fire Marshal.
Right, okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, we're gonna jump to the
Brian, before you start that, I probably should have led with this before we got into the budget, but I just want to report that the town did receive the first payment from the state of Connecticut. We reported last month that you would get the payment on October 3rd, which is what the state told us. They didn't give us the payment until October 15th. So, even after they gave us guarantees, there were still, about 2 weeks' time that it took to actually get the payment. But that was the first one. We hope that things are gonna go smoother. I can report that we did, now that we've received the first one, we're able to now go ahead and put in for a second one, which we did today. So that one is in process, and we're hoping that's gonna take a lot less time than the first one did.
So the second one is for invoices
Through
the
the last period. So they're, obviously getting progressively larger with O&G, so, I think that, I think that one's worth $12 million? Yeah. So, yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Very nice, yep.
Starting in Norton, we only have 3. First 2, hopefully we'll cruise through. The third one, I'm sure we'll have discussion. PCO 16 magnetic door holders credit. So while my team was reviewing with the coordination of the fire alarm, the magnetic door holders with the fire alarm contractor, we realized we also bought those from the drywall contractor. So they went out and they spoke to both contractors, got proposals. The better credits came back from the J.E. Shea, our fire alarm contractor. So they are crediting back the material cost for the magnetic door holders that will be furnished by the drywall contractor. The fire alarm contractor will still be responsible for installing the devices as well as tying them into the new fire alarm system. So this is a credit of $1,095 going back to the owner's contingency.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, PCO 22R1, this is sewer manhole, one-to-one shoring. So in the summertime, this summer, we had to do the trench through the entire parking lot at the Norton School to put in all the new future utilities. While excavating for that trench, they came across a power line conduit that pretty much ran across a big section or through a big section of the trench, not a big section, but a big enough section of the trench that it couldn't be just, worked around. Because of the height of this existing electrical conduit, we had to dig down significantly deeper to get I believe it was the sanitary, the new sewer line installed underneath this existing electrical line. The original depth of putting in this sewer line was less than 5 feet. If you go beyond 5 feet, you have to put shoring in the trench. You cannot just go into a trench of a greater than 5 foot depth. Due to the height of this existing electrical line and where we had to put the sewer line to get under it, it did require us to do some shoring and some specialty shoring because this trench was very small, and to be able to get in there to have our workers work safely. This is an unforeseen condition. This electrical line was not shown on any of the drawings. I think this is the line that provides lighting or provides electric to a lot of the site lighting in the front parking lot area. If you do remember, we carried a significant amount of money to repair any damaged site lighting in an allowance. We're not expending that now. We were able to catch this, so this is less than what we would have expended, what we had thought we might expend if, we damaged circuitry or lighting that, to that front parking lot to bring it back online. While still not a small amount of money, this is a change order to the owner's contingency of $11,638. This is for the rental of the specialty shoring, the labor to install and remove it, and a small amount of labor to hand excavate under the entire pipe. Obviously, when they bid it, they didn't expect to run into that, and they were planning to excavate with a mini excavator for the whole way. So $11,638 from the owner's contingency, and we do believe this will be reimbursable from the state.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes unanimously.
All right, the final one here, and the reason we put this last is because this is the first and really only valid, what I would call a valid request for compensation for tariff costs. The reason I say valid is because the backup that they have provided, which are not included here because it's 138 pages long, but it is the actual tariff documents that the company got, not the company, not Steel Tech, but the company they hired to manage the transport of the steel and handling of the tariff costs. This is 24R1 coming out of the CM contingency for $69,459. If we remember, the gentleman from Steel Tech had attended several meetings early on. His concern with this, I think at that time they were projecting over $300,000 worth of tariff expenses. Fortunately, that was not what was the actual when it came down to it. If you look through the backup, they did a really good job of documenting this. Every load that came across the border, they have a packing slip or a bunch of packing slips with it that explains all the steel that came across with the weight of the steel and a direct tariff cost just for that load coming across. So there was how many tariff documents? Maybe 20 or so?
There was 27 that I counted.
27, yeah. So 27 loads that came across. Each one had the tariffs at the time applied to it. And so this is again, I've had multiple people say to me, hey, we have increased costs, and our vendors are telling us increased costs due to tariffs, but not where they can provide that documentation. I think those are more along the lines of what you guys don't want to see is basically a vendor saying, hey, there's tariffs, we're going to increase our costs. This is not the case with this one. This one is a direct tariff incurred with every load. So presenting it to this committee as was requested, and turn it over to you for questions and comments and go from there.
Motion to approve for discussion purposes.
Second.
We need to motion.
Discussion, yep. Is this it? I mean, it's all the steel here?
This is all the steel for Norton. This is done. This is the accumulation of all the tariff costs for the structural steel.
for Norton, but Barnum may have additional
Nope,
charges?
not for, there's no steel
Barnum
tariffs
steel
in
didn't
Barnum.
come from Canada.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it came from the United States.
Well, that would have been a good solution.
What is it, huh?
Mhm.
I mean, I would suggest you forward to the town attorney, because I know that he came and talked about the contract, talked about the tariffs at length, several meetings. And so if you think the backup is sufficient, I would forward to Jeff D'Onofrio.
The backup's sufficient to justify that they paid a tariff. It's not
Right.
sufficient to say
Say
that,
that
oh,
we
we
paid, yeah.
owe them, we owe it to them.
Right.
The contract's very clear about material costs and increases and everything, so.
The price
I don't know
went-
that you need an attorney to weigh in on it. It's up to us if we wanna do it. He already weighed in on it. The contract's there.
Yeah, in my mind, the Steel Tech, is it,
Yes.
made a business decision to buy the steel from Canada. The other contractor did not. I don't know to what extent the town is responsible to account for contractors' business decisions.
I don't see it as any different than when the vendor raised the price because they felt like it. I mean, they paid more than they expected. Price went up.
Yeah, the other thing that, I mean, just kind of reading the news, we, general, have not felt the impact of tariffs because a lot of vendors, manufacturers, and basically the supply chain is eating them. We haven't seen prices rise in a lot of things, a lot of commodities. And the piece of information that's missing from this document is how much did he get back from the steel manufacturer? How much did he get back from the trucking company? All we know is what US Border Patrol charges them to cross the border. So as presented, I'm gonna be a no.
What was the value of the contract for Steel Tech?
$2 million.
Yeah, it was like 2.2 or something.
Yeah, so this is like a 2.5%, which is lower than profit margin for any contract.
Further discussion, comments? Put it up to a vote, and what about the idea of sending it to Attorney D'Onofrio, or?
I mean, if we vote no, we don't have to sign
Right.
anything, right?
2,982,000, sorry, 2,967,000 base salary, a base contract with 15,000 in allowances.
Okay, all those in favor of paying $69,459 as structural steel tariff costs under change order PCO 024R1, all in favor? Opposed? Rejected unanimously. Okay.
That's all I have to present tonight.
Okay. Anyone have anything else? Goods and welfare? None, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we are adjourned, thank you.